Hey, welcome everyone to another movie. Do this again with my guest Michael 11591. If you've been in my live chat, if you've been in my community, he's been all over it, commenting, talking, giving great suggestions and everything. And he's just a dope guy I talk to like every day, basically. And I'm glad to have him on here so we can go through basically his life story, his cinematic life story, as we go through the 18 films that have influenced his taste or impacted it in some way. 6 for his teenagehood, 6 for his adolescence, and 6 for his adulthood. Super excited to get into that. Ask him some challenging questions. And since you guys are here live, you get to ask him questions as well, and let him know how you feel about his choices, or if you have any specific questions and details you want to know, we'll leave a little section for you to like ask some questions. And if you're watching this afterwards, drop your comments down below and let him know. So further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, Michael 11591. What I favorite
Hey,
names to
Zach.
say on YouTube. How are you doing, man? How you feeling?
Good. Good. I'm doing good. Hello to everybody that's in the side chat.
Yeah,
Thank
appreciate
you.
you being here.
Thank you
Tell
for
people
having me
about
on.
your channel real quick before we get into the festivities.
Well, my channel is, of course, right over here, Michael 101591. Check out my channel. I do movie reviews. I do DVD, Blu-ray, 4K updates. I also, review wrestling. WWE, AEW, and premium live events for their shows. Um, I do Monday Night Raw reviews every Monday, AEW Dynamite reviews every Wednesday, SmackDown on Fridays, and the premium live events that either of them have. It's on like Saturday for WWE, Sundays for AEW.
Yep.
Which today, before the stream, I watched AEW All In, which was a good show though. So,
Yeah.
so I'm
Gotta
not going.
catch a replay of that.
Yeah, so I'm not going to cover it tonight because, of course, this stream is important and it's going to be a lot more fun.
I appreciate that.
So I might be doing like my thoughts when if I well I don't know if I'm going to review Dynamite on Wednesday
Yeah.
because I'm going to go see the Last Starfighter in the theater
Ooh,
at my
nice.
local Alamo Draft House.
That's dope.
But also I upload old school commercials on my channel, so bit of nostalgia. If you guys, are nostalgia, fans, definitely check out my channel. I have like old school Nickelodeon commercial breaks from the 90s and the early 2000s because I used to record as a kid, a lot of Nickelodeon, from like the
Nice.
Rugrats to, Doug to Keenan and Kel to all that.
Ooh,
Uh,
good
also,
times.
I do SmackDown commercial breaks from when it was on UPN. So there are commercial breaks of that as well. So check out my channel. Give me a give me a subscribe and have some fun on my channel.
Yeah, man. The link is in the title and in the description below. So I made it easy for
Yes.
you guys to go check him out. Let's see what people are saying in the comments real quick, and then we'll get into the first section. We have 80s kids from the 90s, 80 kid from the 90s. Back to the Future is just the best movie trilogy. Drop the mic. I just did. Nice to meet you, Michael. Sup, Zach.
Nice to meet you too, 80s kid from the 90s. Back to the
Like the
Future.
movie, man. Oh, say that. Go ahead.
Back to the Future is my favorite movie of all time.
Nice. And it's on the list. So we're
Mhm.
going to get into that. Collect the Movie Man says, hey, Zach. Hey, Michael.
What's up, Collect the Movie Man?
You say, how's everyone doing today?
Very good.
I'm doing very, very, very good. 80s kid said he digs the sunshine intro. Yeah, I just changed that
I did
recently. I was
like
like, I
that.
need something that pops and also fits the color scheme in my channel. I do like the pinks and the oranges and the purples.
Yeah, I did like that.
Appreciate that. Hey, CC Clemens in the house. What's up? Thank you for
Hey,
being a live
CC.
stream. Definitely followed you on Michael on YouTube. Do you have an Instagram?
Yes, I do.
It's the same one, right?
Uh,
Uh,
it's different though.
oh, gotcha. We'll drop that in there
Hmm.
later. Last Starfighter is very underrated. Got a Last Starfighter fan in here.
Nice.
And he says, salute the chat, good people. What's up, Jay Palon?
What's
Thank
up,
you for
Jay
being
Pyle?
in here. So we're going to start with the first section, and that is going to be, I forgot to remove Jay Palon. Your childhood. Look at little Michael right there, the blonde hair. No, I'm joking.
That's
So
not
childhood,
how I look like.
let's say like what would you say is the first time you remember watching media in general? Let's start with that. What age?
Well, I remember watching like TV. Uh, I know a lot of people at that age, don't remember, but I remember it. I remember um, as like 3 years old,
Oh
watching
wow.
some stuff. Uh, my mother, God rest her soul, she ended up, saying that I was always looking at the TV, always looking at what was on. Like as a kid, my mother would raise me on you know kiddie shows like Sesame Street, uh, Barney and Friends, uh, Tom's the Tank Engine, which in America we had Shine Time Station, which is very forgotten about. That was one of my favorite shows before my family ever got cable because it was on
Nice.
PBS. So I would just watch it all the time, and that's how I got introduced to Thomas the Tank Engine.
That's interesting that you just brought that up because of my last live stream. 80s Kids from the 90s asked me if I ever watched uh Thomas the Tank Engine. So that's pretty funny you brought that up. Yeah, that's a common thing, man. That was back in the day, that was the jam. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That show.
Have you ever watched that show as a kid?
Yeah, definitely watched that show as a kid. Thomas, Barney, Thomas, um, what was it? Not DuckTales. Is it DuckTales? It's DuckTales, Dragon
DuckTales was a
Tales,
show,
all
and
that stuff.
Dragon Tales was another show on PBS back in the day.
Yeah, that I
Yeah,
absolutely loved. Yeah, so I watched all that stuff. I'm pretty sure we're still in the kind of the same era in terms of watching stuff. If you know, I'm older than you, but I think we watch a lot of the same things as well. Still,
yeah. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood's another one
yeah, Teletubbies.
which I still watch because they have a own Pluto TV channel for Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, nice.
Uh,
Bear in the Big House.
Bear in the Big Blue House. Yeah, I watched a little bit of that.
Nice. And as I put in the chat, any questions that don't deal with the particular thing that we're talking about, I'm going to start and we'll answer it in the Q&A section. So you can drop the questions there. I'll start and then we'll answer it later. Mighty Ducks. Yes, animated and live action was my jam.
Never grew up with Mighty Ducks.
Didn't grow up. Okay, that's fair. So let's get into the first film from your childhood. It's not quite Mighty Ducks, but it's one of maybe the greatest animated films of all time, and that is Toy Story. So talk about Toy Story. Why did it impact you so much in terms of like what you watch or how it just affect you personally?
Well, Toy Story is a film that got introduced to me by my uncle. My
Okay.
uncle had the film on Laserdisc, and
Ooh,
I
that's so old
remember,
school.
yeah, I remember he made a copy for me on VHS right from his right from the Laserdisc player, and he gave it to me, and I watched the film, and I was just so enthralled with it by how good the story was. I really enjoyed the characters, also uh, how the way that the CGI at that time looked for the film, and
Yeah,
I was watching it so many times. Like I was addicted to it. I was addicted to this film,
of course.
and after I watched it, I became like a huge fan of it. I was sort of obsessed with it because my parents ended up getting me the toys for it. I had I had a Woody, I had a Buzz Lightyear, but it was the intergalactical Buzz Lightyear with
Mhm.
the silver,
Yeah.
where it was the
Ooh,
silver Buzz Lightyear, which is very rare nowadays. It's going
yeah.
for a lot of money on eBay, but I had that. Unfortunately, I played with this so much, you know, it ended up kind of breaking a little bit.
Of course.
So I also had the Burger King toys that they released
Ooh, me too.
for
When
the
Burger King
film.
and McDonald's used to have those exclusive toys, yeah, that was my
Mhm.
jam.
Yeah, I had, of course, Burger King's versions of Woody and Buzz, and also the RC car.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and just overall, the film, I just love it.
And in terms of, so it impacted your life as a kid because you were obsessed with it, or you watched it a ton. You went and invested into it as with the toys, seeking it out in fast food restaurants, having collections of it ignited your imagination. Did it lead you to anything else in terms of like another animated movie you watched because of it, or was it just like this was so special to you?
And this was so special to me
Yeah,
because of uh, how how it was. It was a different type of animation film at that time. It was not like hand drawn animation that we are so used to,
yeah,
and something different coming out of Disney, because Disney has done hand drawn animation films, and since it's Pixar, I think this was the first Pixar film, because Pixar ended up doing shorts like Luxo Jr.,
yeah.
which I seen and I really like it. And this film uh dedicated my love for Pixar.
Nice. And one last question before we get to the comments and questions. You talked about the animation. I'm glad this leads directly into my question. I wanted you to expound upon that. Toy Story 1 is the first CGI animated film, the first CGI animated film where the camera could fill in the space. So it feels cinematic. It feels like an actual movie because a lot of people written off animated movies as not real movies. You know what I mean? Obviously, things like Lion King preserved through, but a lot of animated movies was seen as kid movies because it didn't have a cinematic quality. What do you think is the positive and negative implications of CGI animation since Toy Story has come out?
I think the positive effects of animation is the CGI, the animation, looks really well nowadays for animated films, and if it's done right. Uh, I think that it's a lot more easier on the people that make the film, because it's not like hand drawn animation, because that would hand drawn animation used to take some time to do,
Yeah,
and I feel like with the people doing CGI,
the artist.
I think
Yeah,
the artists, I think it's a lot easier for them, because you draw it, you put it in a computer, and it comes out good on the screen, like pre post production.
yeah. Any? Do you see any negative effects of CGI animation since it's been birthed from Toy Story?
Any negative effects is if the CGI is not done right, and if it's
Mm,
cheap, if they didn't put no effort into the animation, that's one of the many that's one of the negative effects of
gotcha.
animation for CGI.
So
And I
some
think,
people use it to a great effect when they put effort in, but it made some people lazy in
yes,
terms of making. Okay,
yes,
I could definitely see that. I've seen
and then
some bad CGI animated movies.
and one other thing, it has a good cast. You got Tom Hanks as
Hmm.
Woody, Tim Allen as Buzz Lightyear. You have the late great Jim Varney voicing Slinky the dog. Uh,
Mm,
John Ratz John Ratzenberg voicing Ham, the piggy bank.
nice. Yeah.
So
Stellar class in
it's
all
just
the
a
Toy
classic.
Story movies.
Yeah, and I
Um,
enjoy all the Toy Story films. I'm looking forward to Toy Story 5 when it comes
that's
out.
nice.
And I like how
Let's
the
see.
way they're going a different, like they're taking a
Approach.
different approach to Toy Story 5, and having toys versus
Tech.
computer toys.
Yeah. I think that's going to be prevalent in like to the times because we have this thing where like a lot of toys are not really selling. Like Toys R Us closed down, and now it's like instead of having its own store, it's a part of other stores now, and like people are coming iPad kids. So like it's creating a lack of imagination. Like when I had toys growing up, I had them and I could create my own storylines, and it stimulated your mind in a way that you just staring at an iPad does not.
Yeah,
Let's see what the people in the chat was saying. Let's see. Teletubbies, Barney, Mighty Ducks. Okay, Jay Pond said Toy Story 2 is his favorite one of the saga.
I agree. I think Toy Story 2 is my favorite of the trilogy as well. I mean, I love all of them, but Toy Story
Yeah,
2 was just my favorite.
yeah.
You know, and that's
Because
where
Toy
we get
Story is just it impacted more because it was the first.
yeah, and that's where we got introduced to Jesse and Bullseye coming into the story.
Yep. 80 Kids loves that film. Collective Movement says Toy Story is one of my favorites, but it's not in my top favorite. That's
Okay,
fair.
that's cool.
That uncle was a tech wizard. Laserdisc to VHS transfer, sorcery.
Yeah, it was. It was, and I thank him for introducing me to that film.
Yeah, and that's another way the movie has impact on you. You have that memory of your uncle that you forever cherish, a core memory of being introduced to this with your uncle all the time. So that's so always dope when you can connect film with family moments.
Mhm.
It's not laser; it's a little light bulb that blinks.
I love that line.
He said, "Did you have the black and gray version of Buzz?"
Yes, that was it. That was it. It was black and gray.
Nice. Also had Buzz Lightyear toy, Woody, and Slinky and the Army Soldier dudes.
I never
Nice.
had the soldier guys.
Dark Room, what's up, man? Welcome to the live stream. So I
How you
really
doing,
enjoy
Dark
these
Room?
interviews. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Toy Story was really good. Oh man, I had a ton of fun, ton of Toy Story toys. I know 80s kid has tons of them. He's
I forgot to
a
mention, I
figurehead.
actually did
Yeah.
play. I don't know if any of you played the Toy Story game
Mm,
for the Super Nintendo,
yeah.
but I never could have. I never could have got through. I never got through with that game.
Oh my god. The Disney games back in the day were so hard. Toy Story, Lion King, Aladdin. All of them were like
I have Aladdin
hardcore gamer
too.
games. Yeah. It's
Aladdin,
like this.
Aladdin, I never beat as well.
Yeah, they're just too hard. They made these games for adults.
The Lion King, I never finished too. I agree with you. The Lion King on the Super Nintendo is hard.
It's hard.
My cousin had that game, and I couldn't even get through
Oh
to like
wow.
other levels. It's just a hard game.
Tommy
The one
Pickles fan. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
the one Toy Story game that I really enjoyed was the Toy Story interactive game for the PC.
Oh, nice.
And Tom Hanks didn't do the voice of Woody in that game. I think his brother did it.
Oh, do they sound similar?
They sounded similar, yeah.
Nice. Tommy Pickles fan 1992 says I
Hey,
grew
what's
up
up,
with the
Tommy
first
Pickles?
two Rugrats movies from 1998 and 2000. I love those films.
And I didn't, I didn't, I didn't put it on my list, but the Rugrats movie, the first one, I saw that in the theater when I was a kid, and I know it's not on my list, but I'll just go over it. Uh,
Yeah.
I saw that in the theater. My dad took me to see it, and it was the first time that I got to experience the Rugrats being on the big screen because as a kid I was a huge Rugrats fan. I had everything Rugrats.
Yeah.
This was before SpongeBob came into play for Nickelodeon,
Yeah.
before he basically killed Nickelodeon. Uh, just I remember sitting in that theater and just really loving what I was seeing
Yeah.
because I was so used to watching the show on the TV, a small screen, but seeing it on the big screen in their fully first animated film was just great. And I
It's a magical
remember, I
experience.
remember the audience, really, the audience, parents and kids really enjoying that
Yeah.
film.
Such a good time. And you don't expect it because it's a TV show. So you don't think you're going to get the love and care it deserves, but it did.
And it was the first Nickelodeon film that I watched in the theater.
Same. Same. One of your movies on your list scares me to death. I can't watch it because of two things in it. Ooh, interesting. I wonder what movie he's talking about.
Mm,
We'll see. When we get to the movie collector movie, man, let us know.
yeah, let us know.
Do you think Andy inherited Woody from his father?
No, I think maybe Andy probably. I think Andy's mom probably got it for him. Probably like probably like when he was a baby, and he just grew up being attached to Woody way before his mother gifted him the Buzz Lightyear.
Good answer. Good answer. Good question. Good question. I love that. Toy Story lore. CC Clemens says Toy Story is goated. Facts.
Yeah.
Here's the even deeper question. Do you think Andy saw the Buzz Lightyear movie or show with his dad? Oh,
Mm.
interesting.
Mm, I don't know. Maybe because at the beginning of Lightyear, it said, this is the film that made Andy love Buzz Lightyear, and having to get gifted him the Buzz Lightyear toy for his birthday.
Yeah, and most likely he saw it with one of his parents because at that time he probably was still super young. So
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I thought Lightyear was okay.
Okay.
I thought Chris Evans did a okay job voicing Buzz. Like I
Yeah.
knew going into it, it wasn't gonna be like a fully attached film to Toy Story because it's its own film.
Yeah. I was like Andy growing up. Oh, nice. I used to have that buzz too. Says, I played that Toy Story game on Super Nintendo. The thing made me so mad. I remember one time I broke one of my controllers with the Aladdin game. Wow.
That's why I never got through with the Aladdin game.
Lion King SNES was tough. I didn't get past the stampede. That's the part that always killed me.
I didn't even get past that part.
My favorite part in the movie is when Woody says it's a spaceship buzz and they play the background music.
Yeah, I
Nice.
like that part too, where they're trapped at where they're stranded at the gas station and they gotta, get into the Pizza Planet van
Yeah.
just go meet up or get back to Andy and his mom.
So I put a poll in the chat. I'm going to do that with each movie on the list. It says Toy Story rating. 85% of the chat says they give it an A. 14% say C. Nobody gave it a B or F. That's interesting. That's interesting. So
Yeah,
we got
it's
a
an
lot
A.
overwhelming A. A little bit of people who thinks it's just average at C. So I find that very interesting. So the
Right.
next film on this list is a very different film, but a film that was part of our childhoods heavy, and that's Good Burger.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
Can I take your order? Talk about Good Burger and its impact on you.
Well, Good Burger had an impact on me because I loved all that growing up. I was a huge
Same.
Nickelodeon fan. I did not watch like Rugrats wasn't like the only show that I watched on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
I watched Doug. I watched Hey Arnold. I watched the Angry Beavers. I watched Our Real Monsters, Rocket Power, uh, all that, Keenan and Kel, and all that. Good Burger was one of my favorite sketches on that show
Yeah.
by far. It was like the most popular sketch on that show. I mean, you did have some popular sketches like Pierre Escargot from Kenan Thompson. Another character that was hilarious was Coach Crean, also played by Kel Mitchell. You had Ask Ashley from Amanda Bynes, but
I love that. That's actually had me dying every time.
and and Good Burger uh, was the film that I loved because I remember going over to my cousin's house one day, and her mom rented the VHS, and I remember watching it. I didn't watch it, fully. I watched like half of it. I remember, but when I remember my mom getting the VHS for me. I was at my cousin's house, the same cousin who watched the film, and she was like, "Oh, if you don't want Good Burger, I'll get you Space Jam on VHS if they had it in stock." She told me they didn't have it in stock, and she bought me Good Burger, and so I watched it, and I was, just loving the hilariosity between Kel Mitchell and Keenan Thompson, which they were the best duo
Yeah.
on all that, even
Agree.
even in their own show. Which Keenan and Kel is my I would say my top favorite Nickelodeon live action animated show. Live action show. Next to all that, if I listed it on like my favorite Nick shows of all time, Keenan and Kel would be number two. Rugrats would be my number one.
Nice.
So I just loved like the quoted lines in the film. Of course, the "Welcome to Good Burger," home of the Good Burger line, and then uh, "I'm great nose boy," that Kel does.
Yeah.
Uh, I liked Sinbad in the film. as Kenan Thompson's teacher, which he has a accident too. And so because of that, he has to get a job at Good Burger. Well, first he gets a job at this burger place called Mondo Burger, and he's kind of making fun of the head boss there, Kurt Boswell, who was the main villain of the film. And he gets fired, and then he works at Good Burger. And right from there, it's just the good time that him and Kel Mitchell's character Ed has.
Hmm.
So and it's a very 90s film.
Very, very. I was
As
going
well.
to say
Very,
that
very
it's a
90s
very
film.
movie of its time.
And
One
it
of
is
the
and
Hmm?
it is the summer film. So
Big
because
time summer film.
it deals with Kenan Thompson's character, he takes a test in school and then it's summer vacation. So
Yeah,
it's a good summer film to watch.
gotcha. And would you say that with this movie, like you said, it's a time capsule. It's a very 90s film, a lot of 90s jokes and references and things like that that you would understand if you grew up in that era. Do you think they could make a movie like that for the theaters now, if it's given to the right creative hands?
Yeah, I would think so. Because if it doesn't get, treated in the right hands, it'll just be another a direct to streaming film or a direct to DVD film.
Yeah.
Look at Good Burger 2. That came on Paramount Plus, and I still have yet to watch the film. I've heard, pretty mixed things about it though. But
Yeah,
I have
I've
the
heard
film in
mixed
my
things.
collection. But I'll eventually get to watching it, at some point.
Nice.
Because I thought
Okay.
that Good Burger 2 would go to theaters, but
Me too.
it's just nowadays you know the uh, the people have changed. It's not like the same people in the 90s. That are like oh, I remember this. I grew up with it. But I have to say, if Good Burger 2 went to theaters, it wouldn't do that well. It wouldn't have done
No.
that well.
No, especially based on our first trailer. When I saw it, I was like, "Oh, this does look like a streaming movie. It doesn't look like they made it for theatrical consumption
And they've been talking about doing Good Burger 2 for years.
for decades."
For decades. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did a book to it as well, which people are
Yeah.
like, "No, we don't want a book. We want a straightforward film." And
Movie. Yeah.
I was in that same vicinity for people that want a sequel.
Yeah. I do think the issue is that I think the first Good Burger did okay in the theaters, but it really blew up once it hit like TV and like DVD and ancillary market, and that's where
It
people
didn't
fell in love with it.
yeah, it didn't do like great at the box office,
No,
but when it came out, like you said, to VHS and on TV,
really
that's when it
popped
did well.
off.
That's
So
when
I
it
think
really
that's why they were scared to like try to invest in one to go to the theaters because they felt like the fan base didn't go to the theaters to watch the first one.
Yeah. I also for the VHS, like way before I got the VHS, I
Mhm.
actually saw the film on pay-per-view. If you
Wow.
remember the cable boxes, the analog boxes,
Yeah.
we used to have the hot box back in the day. And we used to get like pay-per-view free. That's how I saw like some kids movies on pay-per-view. That's how I saw, some of the wrestling pay-per-views
Yep.
for free. So
I
yeah,
remember those days.
that's this is one of the few movies that I watched on pay-per-view.
Nice. CC said, "Don't judge me. I've never seen Good Burger. Definitely seen clips, but never sat back and watched." That's fair.
Please watch it. Please watch
He's begging.
it.
This is all that. This is all. That was my jam. Never seen Good Burger, but I have, but I gave it a B because of the pop culture. What?
There you go. What?
He was just like, I didn't see it, but I rated it.
Hold on. I want to show this.
What happened to Amanda? Amanda Bynes has been going through some mental part things that has kept her out of the spotlight,
And
unfortunately.
yeah, it all has to do with that one guy, that they did on that documentary,
His name's Dan Stevens or something like
Dan
that. Not
Schneider.
Dan Schneider, yeah.
Yeah. And the stuff that Amanda, like that character of Ask Ashley, how
Yeah.
she used to, how she'd be like, "It's just to get by," or something like that. I'm like, that's Amanda Bynes nowadays.
Yeah.
I'm
She
like,
turned into the
wow,
character.
she turned into that character.
Yep.
Yeah. And I would just want to show this. Kel Mitchell autographed this for me at New York Comic Con
Oh, that's so
one
dope.
year in 2019. So I actually got to meet Kel Mitchell. He is a awesome, awesome guy. Very polite. He gets to listen to what you have to say. And I said that to him that Good Burger is one of my favorite films. My favorite childhood film. He's like, "Oh, thank you so much."
That's so
Yeah,
dope. That's amazing. Gotta hold on to that forever.
I know.
Ah, so
I still have my VHS of Good Burger. I still have my DVD copy, and also the Blu-ray.
nice. The Obi Thorn Alliance says, "How are you two doing? Welcome to the live chat,
I am
man. We're doing
good,
well.
and
Yes, yes.
I also
I
got
love me some orange soda. I do. I do. I do. Good
there you
times.
go. Who loves orange soda? And I actually got to meet Kel Mitchell as well. Here's the photo of me and him.
Oh, nice.
hmm I was at New
That's
York
so
Comic
dope.
Con in 2019.
That man does not age.
No, he still looks the same. I'll admit, I like the show that he did on Nickelodeon called Game Shakers. I only
Hmm,
watched that show because he was in it. And I
gotcha.
said to him at New York Comic Con, I watched the show to support you.
Yeah, that's dope. That's really dope, man. Because I know he must have that felt good for him. Like I appreciate that.
Mhm.
But Good Burger 2 is okay, but not great. That's what
All right,
actually what I've been hearing. I never heard of this Good Burger movie. Interesting.
definitely watch it.
Yeah, were you a Nickelodeon kid, Obi Thorn? Fantastic Joshua, what's up,
Hey,
man? He said,
Josh, what's going on, man?
all right, let's move on to the next one. Let me end the poll. So the poll I had up was for Good Burger rating, and 75% of people said it was a B. 25% said it was an A. No C's or F's, which is good.
All right.
Let's go into the
I mean,
next
it's
film.
not an A movie by any means, though.
Yeah, might be for some people,
For some people,
but
yeah.
Leave It to Beaver film. I was surprised because I haven't seen anyone talk about this movie in a long time, but I remember watching it when I was a little kid. Talk about Leave It to Beaver.
Leave It to Beaver. Uh, I saw this film way, way before I saw the original series.
Mm, okay.
And yes, watching this film as a kid, this is the Leave It to Beaver that I always think of. Like, because I watched this film as a kid and I loved it. It is a very '90s film
Yeah.
by the clothing and the and stuff. There's a scene of Wally the brother playing spin the bottle with some people, even though the film is supposed to take place in the '60s,
Yeah.
but still, I love the film. Is it a great film? No. Is it better than the original series? No. But it's fun. It has, like it's over the top, stuff like pies, in the face and, a bully stealing, Beaver's, bike and him trying to get it back, him trying to, do football, which, eventually does.
Yeah.
And this is one of the this is, I think, one of the movies that I also saw on pay per view for free as a kid.
Nice.
And this is one of the many films that I remember Disney Channel used to always air from time to time.
Yeah.
This would be one of the films, and then of course you had your Disney Channel original movies. A lot of people think that this was a Disney film. It wasn't. It's a Universal film because they own the rights to the original series, and but Disney Channel, like I said, just always used to show the film from time to time, and
Yeah.
that's how I remember watching it all the time. As a kid. But I
Nice.
thought the Christopher McDonald, I thought, he did a decent job playing Ward Cleaver, the father. Uh, Wally, the brother, is actually the voice of Sid in Toy Story,
Oh wow.
which I never knew that until
Little
years
tie-in.
later. But it came out It came out in the summer of '97. It didn't do that well at the box office. It was a big flop,
Yeah.
but still, it's a fun movie. It's not a film, to be taken serious. If you saw like the original series and watched that first, you're definitely not going to like this film.
Hmm.
But give it a watch. It's fun. You have you also had Janie Turner in it who plays the mother, June Cleaver. There's many references like to the series. Like there was one episode I think where Beaver got stuck in a giant like coffee cup, and they referenced that
in the
scene in
movie.
the show in the movie.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's one of
So
the
what
many.
about this film
It's one of the
that
many. It's one of the many
yeah.
films that I've seen Erica Christensen in.
So what about this film made you put it on the list in terms of the movies that like made up your childhood? Is it because you was watching it profusely as a child? Is there something you could relate to in the character, or did it like spark interest in watching a bunch of stuff like in this vein?
It sparked my interest in stuff, in this vein because I grew up with this film, and every time when it was on TV, I would always watch it, and I just got some, enjoyment out of it. It's a funny film, and it's basically, if you think of this film and among other films, it just, brings you back to your childhood.
Gotcha. And I wanted to talk about it because you brought up a little bit in terms of like how people reacted to it when I was looking it up. Because I watched this film and I remember liking it, but I haven't gone back to it since I was a child. But it has an RT score of 21% from the critics and 32% from the audience. Some cite that it lacks charm or doesn't match the show, which I didn't even know there was a show until I looked this up. Why do you think that the film just didn't resonate with a lot of people back then?
Yeah, because it's a '50s show, and you're basically setting it in the '90s
Mhm.
when technically, it's supposed to be set. The show is basically set in the '50s. That's what the original show was. That's
Yeah,
when that's in the era that it came out. So I guess that people in the '90s, in 1997, like it was a whole new generation of people, and the generation that people watched the show back in the '50s, I guess just didn't care or didn't really like the way that they were set in this film. But
gotcha.
for me, it was it was a movie that like I said, I always watched all the time. This is the Leave It to Beaver that I always think of when I think of it.
He's a good
And
movie.
I didn't watch the original series till like maybe like 2000, 2001 because we didn't get TV Land, at that time in the '90s. So I
Yeah.
didn't get TV Land on my analog cable until like 2000, 2001, and that's when I just started watching the original series. And I really like the original series. It's a classic.
Nice. Collective Movement has never heard of Leave It to Beaver, surprisingly.
Give it a
Hoopy
watch.
Thornton Alliance says no, I was not. He was not a Nickelodeon kid. I watched that movie on Netflix. 80s kids watched it on Netflix. Okay. Let's end the poll before we move on to the next film. Leave It to Beaver. 100% of the people said it was a B, which is fine. That's better than I expected. Okay, next film is a film that I hold dear to my heart and I love so much. Grew up on it heavily, so I'm glad it's on this list. Space Jam, movie that was revolutionary. Talk about Space Jam, the
Space
OG.
Jam is a very revolutionary film for me because it was one of the first movies that I ever watched, free on pay per view, going back to the pay per view stuff. And I remember recording it when it came out because back in the day, pay per view used to have like that one channel that got like the all day movie tickets, so the film would be on all day
Yeah,
until like 6 a.m. the next day. So I remember, watching it uh, one day on pay per view and just loved it. I remember like before it was on pay per view, like a year later, that the advertisements for it because I was really interested in it. And I didn't go to the theater that much as a kid,
mm,
so the the way I would watch like a kids film would be on pay per view
yeah,
because, like I said, we got that for free because of the hot box. And I just love the animation to the film. Is it a great film by any means? No, it's not perfect, but it has that '90s charm to it. Like Space Jam is on the list of every kid that grew up in the '90s. Like you
yeah.
would say to somebody, "Oh, what are your favorite childhood films?" Space Jam would definitely be on that list.
Yep.
And I thought Michael Jordan, he, was playing himself. I actually enjoyed him in the film. I
Yeah.
liked how we got to interact with the Looney Tunes characters. Like before the film got, even made, Michael Jordan used to do like the Nike commercials with the Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
I remember he did that. And then after Space Jam came out, you see Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes. They did like these MCI commercials and promoting, MCI service, dial 1-800, like blah blah blah, like that. So they
Yeah.
were so they were all over. Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes was all over after the film came out.
Yeah.
And I
And
remember I
mhm.
remember getting the VHS to it. And I don't know if any of you remember this, but when you got the VHS, it came with a silver coin in it. And
Mm.
it was like a collectible. So I still have my silver coin somewhere, but I don't know, where it is.
Yeah.
So, but I think I definitely do have it. Like if you could find like a VHS copy on eBay that's like still factory sealed, you'll see like the coin in there. It was on the
Nice.
front of the box. And the film has has a great soundtrack as well. I have the soundtrack to it. With R. Kelly's "I Believe I Could Fly," "Fly Like an Eagle" by Seal, and you had the Monstars theme, which was cool. The "Hit 'Em High, Hit 'Em High." It has a good soundtrack.
Great soundtrack.
Great soundtrack. You got Wayne Knight, Newman from Seinfeld in it.
Yeah.
Uh, Bill Murray. You also
Oh, the
have
cast is strong.
the cast is strong. You also have some of the NBA players from back in the day, like Patrick Ewing,
Yep.
and among others. And Space Jam: A New Legacy. I'll bring this up. I thought the film was okay when I saw it in the theater. I liked like the WB verse in it, but Kobe Bryant, you know, is no Michael Jordan.
You mean LeBron James?
Oh, LeBron James. I'm sorry. Yeah, because he passed away. Kobe Bryant. I was thinking of LeBron James.
Yeah.
Sorry for mentioning Kobe Bryant.
No, no worries, no worries, no worries. Kobe and Michael got compared to each other all the time, so I get where the
Yeah,
correlation came from. Yeah, I still haven't watched the new Space Jam just because it was like I have nostalgia barriers for the regular Space Jam, but I don't know if I would want to watch a new one. I don't think that's for me. I know a lot of kids loved it, so that's for them. You know what I
mm,
mean? So that I'm happy that those kids have a Space Jam for them now,
mhm.
and you can. As a parent, that's a dope situation. So
Well,
yeah, I love Space Jam. I love the I think that was the first time, other than who framed Roger Rabbit, seeing animated characters mixing in with humans so seamlessly and making it look real. And one of my questions is kind of about that. Space Jam, has a lot of many cultural impacts. It opened the door for athletes to be into entertainment space. Like you said, Michael Jordan was in there, and then he ended up doing a bunch of commercials with the Looney Tunes. And then other actors and other basketball players started getting into different movies and things like that. And it at the time before this movie came out, the Looney Tunes brand was kind of dying.
yeah,
And it ushered in a new wave of Looney Tunes, which is great because I remember watching Looney Tunes as a kid and loving it.
same.
Which one of those things kind of impacted your life the most? Like athletes getting into the entertainment space, doing more things like that, or the Looney Tunes brand being brought back to life?
It was a Looney Tunes brand being brought back to life because I remember Nickelodeon used to rerun the Looney Tunes cartoons way before Cartoon Network got them. Or I think they started off on Cartoon Network first, and then I guess they lost the rights and Nickelodeon picked it up.
Hmm.
And then after it was off of Nickelodeon, they went back to Cartoon Network, Boomerang. So I really liked the Looney Tunes as a kid. The Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote cartoons of Looney Tunes are my favorites. I
Yeah,
like Bugs Bunny. I like Daffy Duck. But when I think of Looney Tunes, I think of like Bugs Bunny, Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner. Like I don't think of like Porky Pig, Foghorn Leghorn. It's just the ones that I resemble and I associate with.
that makes sense.
And also, I
let's
did
see.
see Space Jam. I think it was last year at my local Alamo Draft House had a screening of it. It was a movie party,
Yeah.
and there was quite a lot of people in the theater, which was
I-
cool.
yeah, I remember doing a box office thing about that and Space Jam being in the top 10. I was shocked, but that's awesome. I would love to see that movie like remastered in the in theater. After Space Jam came out, I saw it in theaters. Came out, I saw it in theaters. I wanted to be like Michael Jordan and be such a good basketball player like him, but I never was. I did play basketball for a few years. Oh yeah,
Hey, they had that TV ad. I want to be like Mike back
Mike.
in the day.
We even got a movie like Mike because of it.
Yeah, which I
It was
also
great.
enjoy too with
Me
little
too.
with Bow Wow
Yeah,
and Morris Chestnut.
that was part of my childhood as well. Nobody ever calls Lola doll. Great line. He said, "Hey Michael, I wanted to ask, what did you think of my movies that made you with Zach? Did you get to check out the one I did with Collective Movie Man?"
No, I didn't get to check it out. I was probably working at the time, working
Gotcha.
when you guys did it. I'll definitely check
Bill
it out.
Murray could Bill Murray could have played basketball. Probably. I don't know if he could have played in the NBA. He probably played basketball with his friends.
Hmm,
Michael will always be the number one basketball player. He's the GOAT.
of
I don't
course.
necessarily agree with that, but he is on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, he is on that list of great basketball players of all
Yeah,
time.
definitely top three. And he's his flip flop between one and two. He definitely ain't three.
That's all, folks.
Folks, good times, Porky Pig. Okay, let's end this poll.
I like the little reference that they did at the end with the aliens and Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and Porky Pig in there. And
Yeah,
then Michael Jordan's like, "Can I go home now?"
so get me out of here. Yeah, 75% of the chat says A for Space Jam, and then the rest was B. So, film that everyone loves. Going into the next film is a film that almost everyone loves, and that is The Wizard of Oz. Talk about why this film from 1930 something, 40
39.
something, 39 is on your list as a child in the 90s.
Well, The Wizard of Oz. It's a film I never get tired of. It was one of the first DVDs that I bought as a kid. It was my very first DVD, and I remember my dad buying it at a little store that probably some of you out here in the New York area, because me and Zach are from the New York area, little known store called The Wiz, or
Yeah,
Nobody Beats The Wiz.
nice.
So we had one in our neighborhood, not too far from us, and me and my dad, we always used to go to like The Wiz on a Sunday. That was basically our little you know hangout day. I remember going into like the DVD aisle, because this was when DVDs came out. They still had VHSs, still back in the day, and I remember getting off the shelf, and I was just so enthralled in the picture of Judy Garland as Dorothy, and
Yeah,
then
rest in peace.
Scarecrow, and the Cowardly Lion, and the Tin Man. There, and you have in the background the Emerald City, and
Mm,
I was like, this is awesome. This looks awesome. This looks magical.
yeah.
And I watched the film, and I was completely blown away by it. This was not a film that I saw on VHS, but on DVD. It was the MGM DVD that they did before Warner Brothers, I think, bought the rights to it.
Mm,
But I was so enthralled with how it was filmed. I know the film had a troubled production, and Judy Garland is just fantastic as Dorothy. It was originally going to be they originally wanted Shirley Temple to play Dorothy,
oh, wow.
but since I think Shirley Temple was still under contract with 20th Century Fox, uh, MGM was like, "Oh, why don't we just cast one of our own greats?" And that one great was Judy Garland, because Judy
Nice.
Garland did many films for MGM, and I really like the like how the film opens up with it being in sepia tone, black and white.
Yeah.
Uh, I heard one of the VHSs. I think it was the 1988 MGM VHS. It shows the film in black and white. It wasn't
All the
sepia.
way through.
It wasn't
Oh wow.
sepia tone. It was black and white until until the Technicolor came in when she enters Munchkin Land. But after that,
Nice.
VHS, that's when they started doing the sepia tone for the film.
Nice.
And I think it fits. I think the sepia tone fits a lot great than it being in black and white.
Yeah. It
It
pops
just
better.
has that magic to it.
Yeah.
And I thought the tornado effect was really good as well. I think that's what inspired like Twister, that film, and a lot of other these disaster films. I think they taken credit from the Wizard of Oz.
Nice.
Just by that one scene. And always like after seeing that scene, I'm like, oh, if we get like a bad storm here and a tornado, like they always say, oh, we're under a tornado watch or a tornado warning. I always get that feel,
Yeah.
like that paranoid feel from watching uh, that classic scene,
Of course.
and how a tornado would feel, being in that situation that that Judy Garland Dorothy was in. I always think of, oh, will a tornado pick up our house? Like that.
I love that you told that personal story there because it shows how the movie affected your psyche at this age.
Mhm.
Just that scene alone, you're like, oh crap. I hope that doesn't happen in real life. This movie, The Wizard of Oz, it being like a fantasy tale, a hero's journey, having introducing classic characters like Tin Man, things like that. Did it lead you to any other fantasy like movies or TV shows?
Uh, Led me to, like a lot of like, those fantasy shows and movies. Uh, well, I didn't grow up with it, but the Never Ending Story
Hmm.
led me to that. The Witches is another one. Uh, Also, like another show that's fantasy, Grimm, but I didn't grow up
Grim.
with it. That was
Yeah.
on my list of favorite shows of all time.
Nice.
Very underrated show.
I
Uh,
heard great things about that show.
yeah, definitely check it out. It's worth it. Uh, that's many of the movies that I could think. That's many of the movies and shows that I could think up with. Oh, of course, another one I gotta mention, Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
Love that
That's like a
show as
direct
well.
inspiration from that movie.
Hmm. And
Uh,
just the film. I'm a huge fan of the film.
yeah.
I have, like the DVD. I have the 50th anniversary VHS. I have the 4K the 4K of it, and I also have the Ultimate Oz Laserdisc edition of it,
Nice.
which I want to show it off here because it's a great set. Uh, so here's what the set looks like here for on the Laserdisc. They also released this on VHS as well in this
Whoa.
big set here
Holy crap. That's a
on
big boy.
the back of it. Green like the Emerald City.
Yeah. It looks like
Uh,
a game set. Like
yeah.
that's so cool.
Then you get your guide to the Ultimate Oz,
Oh man.
and it just shows like them talking about the film and the features on the disc.
Yeah.
It's and then you get this of they get this more talking about the film with Judy Garland in it
Oh wow.
in the picture. Very great.
Where'd you get
This
that from?
I got this off of eBay.
Oh nice.
I
Okay.
got it used, so it got it for a good price. You
Is it in
got
good
the
condition?
it's it's in good condition. You get your little like scuffs there,
Yeah. But
but
nothing too crazy.
nothing too crazy. It's also missing it's missing the poster to it because this is what you get in it.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's
So the
missing the
person kept the
poster.
poster.
Yeah. So you got that. You get the film. here, which is
Oh wow,
it's a gatefold too as well. So
it looks like a vinyl. That's
yeah,
so dope.
these Laserdiscs look like vinyls.
The Wizard of Oz. That's so dope.
They get that. This is the best edition of the Wizard of Oz on Laserdisc. I know they have a Criterion version as well, though, but this is the best one to get. Look at the
Nice.
art. You never find like this art on DVDs or Blu-rays or 4Ks
Not
nowadays.
anymore.
Yeah,
Super lazy now.
yeah. And then you get the discs that look like this.
Wow,
I'll
that's
take it.
so dope.
I'll take out the disc and show you what it looks like. See, these were what Laserdiscs used to look like.
Yeah,
And
the
this
CD disc.
and like that. This is also thanks to my uncle because
Hmm.
my uncle had a Laserdisc player, and like I said earlier, he had Toy Story on Laserdisc. He had also Jurassic Park, Batman '89. So all those films, I saw are thanks to my uncle for because of Laserdisc.
Nice.
And also the set comes with the documentary, no, the making of a movie classic hosted by Angela Lansbury, which aired on TV. A lot of
Nice.
behind the scenes stuff. You got dress rehearsal, uh, complete soundtrack of the Jitterbug, which was cut from the film. It only survives in audio.
Mm.
You also got first soundtrack recording of "I Only Had a Heart," sung by Buddy Epson, who was supposed to be the original Tin Man, but he was
Oh wow.
allergic to the powder that they put on his
Oh,
face.
that you had to put on them. Oh, okay.
Yeah. You also get Judy Garland's deleted "Over the Rainbow" reprise, which she sung in the witch's castle when the witch ended up locking her up in there.
Yeah.
A lot of nice stuff.
Yeah, that looks super dope.
And
I have to
it also
look for it myself.
comes with the script, with the continuity script.
I love the color.
Look at all these pages for the
That's a
script.
thick boy.
Hmm.
That's a thick read.
Yeah. Never released. This was never released on DVD or the DVD set, the Blu-ray set. Only in this set you could get like the continuity script, and then it comes with the cards, black and white.
Nice.
There you go.
That's dope.
Yeah, so that's what comes in the set here. So it's a good set. If you could find it on eBay, definitely pick it up.
Looks amazing.
It's definitely worth it. They have a VHS. They have a VHS version of this as well. So if you don't have a Laserdisc player, and if you still collect VHS, pick up the Ultimate Oz edition of Wizard of Oz. It's a great version released on home video.
Nice.
Hmm.
80s Kids from 90 says, I love this film. Can't wait for Wicked.
I'm looking forward to Wicked as well. A lot of people are like, it looks like garbage.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it.
I'm not looking forward for whatever reason. I'm not sure. It's just not speaking to me. It doesn't look like garbage. The visuals and the VFX look good. It's just not speaking to me. And I'm not really a fan of the main actress, so that's also
I think Ariana Grande is going to do good.
We'll see. I've only seen her in one other movie, which she was basically playing herself. So we'll see.
Well, I know her from her musical background and also Victorious.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she was great as Cat.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. No, this is the movie that scares him. Scared because the Wicked Witch and the Flying Monkeys.
Oh yeah, the Flying Monkeys as well. I do also like the other version, the African American version of The Wiz with Diana Ross.
Yeah, isn't it Michael Jackson in that?
Yes, Michael Jackson is the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Nipsey Russell is the Tin Man.
So dope.
And they actually filmed it here in New York.
Yeah, I knew that for sure. I remember that.
Yeah, it's a classic.
It's a classic.
It gets too much hate from people, which I don't know why.
I kind of know why. but we won't get into that. But there's a couple different versions. So I'll just, before we get into the comments, I'll lead into the question because I was looking it up. There's a lot. The impact of this movie, obviously, it influences so much. You even said it might influence in disaster films because of the tornado scene, but like the film has influenced people to in different cultures to remake it. Right? There's a Japanese and a Chinese Wizard of Oz. There's a lot of different versions of this movie. The
There
Return
was
of
a
Oz.
silent version before the
There's
1939 version.
Yeah, and after this movie came out, a lot of people tried to make their own versions. Even recently, a horror movie Pearl is inspired by this film. And even there was one of the other successful versions because unfortunately, not a lot of the movies that tried to imitate it or recreate it were successful. Was Tom and Jerry in the
Yeah,
Wizard of Oz,
I
which was
I never
like
seen it though, but I've
it
heard
was
of it.
like the same movie just with Tom and Jerry and it reacting to everything, which is amazing. Um,
So basically, it was just a shot for shot copy, but putting Tom and Jerry in there.
Yeah, and that changes the dynamics in the movie with Tom and Jerry in there, but it's basically the same movie, which
And The
is
Wizard
funny.
of Oz is a movie that I watch all the time when it's on TV during the holidays. TBS,
Yeah,
shows it uh, every Thanksgiving, every Christmas after the 24 Hours of Christmas Story, which is my favorite Christmas movie of all time.
yeah.
So
And this so out of all the different versions that we've got in manga, anime, comic books, other animation, because we have animated shows, animated movies, and all the different remakes and things like that. The original Wizard of Oz is the most successful and the one that's talked about the most. What do you think this movie does that makes it so impactful that it lasts for decades?
I think because of how memorable the story is, how memorable the characters are, how much of a how much of a perfect performance from the characters are, especially Judy
Hmm.
Garland,
Hmm.
and the way how Emerald City looks, and the production designs. The whole yellow brick road.
Yeah,
Just I mean, you could tell that it was filmed on a stage because of the backgrounds.
yeah,
Like, but like as a kid, you watch this and you're like, oh wow, this looks real. When you grow up and you watch the film, you're like, oh, that's just shot on a stage. It's not believable,
yeah,
anymore.
of course.
But
But at that point, you love the movie so much you can kind of let it fly by.
yeah, I mean, the cast does great. Judy Garland is fantastic. Frank Morgan as the wizard, was great.
Yeah,
Ray Bolger as the Scarecrow, was great as well. Burt Lair as the Cowardly Lion. Put him up, put him up. He was great. Jack Haley as the Tin Man, he was, great as well. And what I really like is, when Dorothy at the beginning, she's telling her auntie and Uncle Henry um, about Miss Gulch, played by Margaret Hamilton, fantastically played by Margaret Hamilton. That oh, she's coming after Toto, and she speaks to Hunk and Zeke and Hickory. They're like, oh well, if you have a brain, you would think about that. But then when she gets to the Emerald City, no, not the Emerald City, when she is basically going on the Yellow Brick Road after Munchkin Land, and she meets Scarecrow, who is basically you know. Who's basically Hunk, he ends up saying, I don't got a brain. So you know, that kind of like sets up the story
yeah,
just from that one scene. And especially, when she's climbing on like that on the gate in the farm, with the pigs. And, Burt Lair's character of Zeke says, oh, have a little courage. So all that sets it up,
yeah.
perfectly for
That's all the
the
themes in
characters, the
place.
themes. Mhm.
Yeah. Ace Kid asks you, do you believe Glinda is the true mastermind?
I think she's the true mastermind in helping, Dorothy get back home.
Okay. Certificate that says how many was made for this edition, and you get a Blu-ray and 4K.
Uh,
Nice.
yeah, there was a lot of copies made for that Ultimate Oz. I think
You
stuff
also get
that
a reversal car. I think he's talking about a new one that he wants to get. He's
uh,
saying there's a 4K they just announced for the
there's
85th year anniversary.
yeah, that's coming out soon. But
Nice.
they should include like the continuing script in one of the box sets because it's only available in the Ultimate Odd set for Laserdisc and VHS.
Yeah.
I want to show off also I think the 50th anniversary VHS, because that's a nice edition as well. Give me a second.
Childhood.
Here we go.
What else is in here? Hold on, I'm dropping a new poll for you guys. Oh yeah, Toy Story.
All right, so here is the 50th anniversary VHS, which was released in 1989, and it's got a good cover to it. Very very nice art on it, because this was released in 1989 for the film's 50th anniversary. It's in good condition. It's in good condition. You got like a little like scuff mark there, but overall, it's in good condition.
It's a great cover.
Yeah, and then you got the back to it, and then so if you find this VHS on the market, there are many or some that don't have the book inside. My copy has the book inside.
Nice.
And I got this from Salvation Army thrift store. And there was one time where I went in there and they had this VHS and they didn't have the book inside. So I passed on it. And it's in one of my movie hunting videos. So I passed on it. I went in there another time and they had this. So I'm like, oh, does this not have, hopefully this has the book inside. Lo and behold, it did have the book. So basically this book, talks about, like the making of the film and like behind the scenes stuff. Very nicely detailed book.
Nice.
And the VHS of it right here. I still have it sealed though, so I don't want to open it up though. But
yeah, don't open it up.
It has the sticker and the ruby slippers with the witch trying to like get the ruby slippers off of Judy Garland. So that's on the sticker label on the VHS.
Nice.
And I agree, it's the greatest fantasy film of all time.
Let's get into the next film, the last film of your childhood that we're going to be talking about, and that is Jack. Talk to us about this film. Why is it so important for you?
Jack is a film that I remember watching as a kid, and I remember my cousin rented it from the video store, and I remember like watching it. I was so like enthralled with it. This is my favorite Robin Williams film.
Oh wow!
Like it's my favorite Robin Williams film, next to Mrs. Doubtfire, and next to Toys, which is another underrated film from him, which a lot of people don't really talk about, or a lot of people don't like that film. But it's a magical film, Toys. But Jack is a different film for Robin Williams, because he was playing a 10-year-old in a 40-year-old body. So he basically ages 10 times. His character basically ages 10 times, the normal rate of people. And, we see, 10 years later, these, boys are making fun of him, and they don't really know, who he is and how, he acts. So basically he attends school. He gets rejected by most of the kids in the school. And the way he ends up getting liked is he plays basketball, and he's really good at it. He's making a lot of shots, very good shots. He didn't make one miss. So that's when people started appreciating him and, liking him and hanging out with him. The treehouse scene was, awesome as well. Like from watching the film, I'm like, man, I wish I had a treehouse, just like that, designed just like that.
Yeah.
And, as later on in the film, you see like Robin Williams' character, Jack, gets in like these problems. Like you find out that he has arteriosclerosis because there's a scene where he ends up falling down the stairs in the school, and he's put up to these heart monitor. He's hooked up to this heart monitor, and he basically just wants to go back to school in that scene because his parents, played by Diane Lane and Brian Kerwin, they just want him to get like homeschool, but he really does want to go back to school, and be with his friends. But they were kind of like keeping it, keeping that away from him because of his condition. And you really feel for, Robin Williams and his character.
Mm.
But it's a very underrated Robin Williams film that I really love. I have the VHS of it. I have it on DVD. It's a Robin Williams film that I watched the most as a kid. Even though I know a lot of people, don't like this film and they talk, a little bit negative about it, but it is a very good movie. Also, it's a Francis Ford Coppola film. It's a very different Coppola film than the films that he did.
He
Like
normally does.
Godfather.
Yeah.
Among all that. But
And I was
Coppola,
gonna ask you about the controversy behind it, because when I was looking into it, because I've never seen this film or heard of it, I was mixing it up with Big, and I think someone said that in the comments just now. Some people said it was bland and grotesque. Some people said it was powerful and poignant. Why do you think that the subject matter was so divisive back then? And additional question: do you think if the movie could be made today?
I think that the movie could be made today as long as it has a good story.
Okay.
And I think why people were divided, being too bland and grotesque, is the scene where they're in the treehouse and Robin Williams is just farting into a coffee can. I mean, they were just having they were just having fun, them and the boys. I mean, you do some of that stuff, like that crazy stuff when you're with your friends, at points, but not all the time.
Yeah. Of
But
course.
but
And then there's people who thought it was poignant. Why do you feel like those people feel like this movie was poignant, like important, like had like important messages?
I guess because I guess some people didn't get it,
Hmm.
and it's very rare for like a person to have that condition that Robin Williams' character was in, because I think there is a real condition uh, that I think some people go through, like Robin Williams' character in the film, where they age rapidly, and they look like they're in the 30s, something like around that. But I remember hearing something about that it
Mm,
might be a real condition.
that'd be a real condition.
I'm not 100% sure, but I did hear
Gotcha.
about it. And it's I said it's a Robin Williams film to check out. I mean, you feel bad in that one scene for his character because he ends up asking out Jennifer Lopez, who is his
Hmm.
teacher,
Yeah.
and you kind of feel bad because you know Jennifer Lopez's character as his teacher looks his age, and then like if he ended up asking like a girl out that's younger than him, that would look too like too very young. Like people are going to be questioning like, oh, why is this guy going out with a
Or trying to
like
go out at least.
trying to go out with like a 12, 13-year old when he looks
Yeah,
like a 40-year-old guy.
exactly.
I guess because he didn't want to. I guess because he didn't want to go alone,
Yeah.
and he wants somebody his age, you know, that looks his age to go. But eventually, Jennifer Lopez ends up turning him down, and then you feel bad for his character at that point.
Yeah, because he's stuck in a interesting position
Hmm.
where he looks like a 30-year-old, 4-year-old man, but he's a child inside. So he can't like you're saying, he can't deal with people his actual age, and people who's his actual age don't want to deal with him, and that's still also problematic. So it's an interesting movie to explore all those themes,
Yeah,
and I
and it
also could
has a
see
good
why people have problems with it, kind of like with Poor Things.
and it has a good cast too. Robin Williams, Diane Lane, Jennifer Lopez. You got Fran Drescher, who plays one of Robin Williams' friend's mother. Bill Cosby. Yeah, we all know about Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
You also have an appearance by Michael McKean, who is in the bar scene that Robin Williams goes to. But yes, Robin Williams' character does go to a bar when he's supposed to be 10 years old, but
Yeah.
of course, stuck in a 34-year-old man's body. You got a little appearance by Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe plays one of the bartenders that he gets into a fight with Robin Williams there, which it was cool to see. Willem Dafoe in there. He's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah. One of the goats.
Yeah, and also I like the end scene where he's graduated. He's an old man now, and when he made that fantastic speech, I mean, you could have a sense in your mind that he's not going to be around for that long
Yeah.
because of his old age. I mean, you see, he has gray hair, he's looking old, and I think that whole speech was, just for people to remember him because maybe he would eventually pass on, after that.
Oh yeah, I know what Arnold Schwarzenegger movie he's talking
That's
about.
Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah, different one.
Mhm.
I might need to watch this movie.
Yeah,
I'll definitely
definitely.
check this out. I get this movie mixed up with Big, like a lot of people
Yeah,
do.
Big is like you know that a little bit, but Tom Hanks in that film is just basically wishing to be an adult.
Yeah, where this is different because it's a condition. It's not magic or anything like that.
Mhm.
Okay, so we just rounded out the childhood. I put up a poll to see what people in the chat favorite film on the childhood was, and Toy Story won overwhelmingly at 66%, as expected, with Space Jam coming in at number two,
Mm,
which surprised me as well. No Wizard of Oz. I thought that would be at least number two. So yeah, to round out your childhood, you have a lot of the childhood classics on here. Obviously Good Burger, Toy Story, Wizard of Oz, Space Jam, and then you have some things that are a little less well known, like Leave It to Beaver, which I watched but a lot of people didn't watch, and Jack. And I noticed
and
you love things. Huh?
Jack was the very first PG-13 film I watched because I was used to watching PG,
Yeah,
G-rated films, but my parents would let me watch PG-13 films as a kid as well.
sometimes. Yeah. And when you're looking at all these films, they're all just fun. They're all just
Yeah.
fun films that ignite the imagination. Toy Story, right? Toys coming alive. Good Burger, a restaurant being very unique and going off like off the rails. Leave It to Beaver, maybe it's a little bit more down to earth, but like Space Jam, Wizard of Oz, and Jack all have these fantastical parts to them that I can see you can relate to and making you go out and wanting to find out how the movies were made. It looks like Michael may have disappeared for a little bit. So while he's doing that, I'm gonna shout out to my channel members real quick. The Net Blood Rose, Spoiler King, Screens and Reviews, Have You Seen with T? Thank you guys for supporting me on that level. And you're back.
Yep.
Okay. Everything good?
Everything's good.
All right. So we're gonna move into the next section, and that is when you were a teenager. Look at you on the left there, looking at it, watching a movie in the theater. Look at you. I kid. Okay, so the teenage years, right? So this is between 13 and 18, right? These are the films that you've seen around that age. We did from 3 to like 12 just now, which is a large span of time, and to get 6 movies from. This is basically a shorter amount of time, I think. But one of the first movies you have up here that I find very interesting is a movie that I personally love as well, and that's Holes. Talk about Holes and why that movie's on this list. Why is it so important to you?
Holes is a film that uh, I remember Disney Channel promoting a whole lot. This was at the time where Disney Channel had good shows on there like Lizzie McGuire. They have reruns of Boy Meets World.
That's so
That's so
Raven.
Raven,
Yeah.
among others. And Disney Channel was promoting this film, like crazy. Like you had the movie surfers, segment that they used to do when the shows would go to commercial. And I remember, seeing the behind the scenes of this that they showed while they were filming it. And also the song, the dig it up, they played that almost like every commercial break on Disney Channel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go check out this film. I'll watch it. I didn't get to watch it until it came out on DVD. I didn't see it in the theater. And I read the book by Lewis Acker, but I never fully finished it
Yeah.
because I love the movie so much, and I think the movie is better than the book, in my
Mhm.
opinion. And that comes from it's good cast. Shia LaBeouf. This is one of his. I think this was his motion picture debut
Yeah.
because he did Disney Channel stuff like he did Even Stevens, which
Classic.
I wasn't never a fan of. Uh,
Really?
yeah, he did True Confessions, which was a Disney Channel original movie where he plays a autistic guy, which that
Mhm.
is another one of my favorite roles from him. If you haven't seen True Confessions, great movie, very sad film, and I like the topic of that film, True Confessions, and him being in Holes here was another good performance where he plays Stanley Yelnats, and he finds out that his family has been cursed because of his grandfather, and he gets sent to Camp Green Lake because of something that he didn't do, where a
Mhm.
pair of shoes end up falling from the sky, as he would say. But later on in the film, we actually know who the real perpetrator was that stole the shoes, and basically he just goes to that camp pretty much, basically for nothing because he didn't do anything. He was framed for
Yeah.
that. And while he's there, he gets to meet John Voight's character, who plays Mr. Sir. Very like guy who's very southern, who wears like a hat. Tim Blake Nelson plays the doctor there,
Yep.
and then Sigourney Weaver, who plays the warden of the camp. I thought that was very good casting as well.
Yeah.
She comes off as the villain of the film, and I really like the chemistry between Shia LaBeouf's character and Cleo Thomas as Zero. Zero is
Yeah,
a
man.
character. Zero is a character who like never really like talks to the other guys, but he talks more to Shia LaBeouf's character. And I thought they had really good chemistry. Like in the film, Shia LaBeouf's character ends up teaching him how to read, and the whole scene where they climb up that mountain was cool. And it's just, this camp is just, them just, digging holes and finding stuff, like artifacts. And I like how you have like the backstory of Camp Green Lake and how it was a town. And, you had, what's her name? Patricia Arquette's character, Dule Hill's character, Sam. The main the one thing, the one line that you always think of this film from him is like, "I can fix that."
Yeah,
But
man.
I really enjoyed, that small chemistry between Patricia Arquette and Dooley Hill's characters for the little amount of time those characters were on, because
On
eventually,
screen.
spoilers, Dooley Hill's character
Spoilers.
yeah,
This movie's so old. If you haven't seen it
yeah,
by now, come on.
Dooley Hill's character gets killed off,
Mhm.
and Patricia Arquette becomes one of the villains. She becomes Kissing Kate Barlow, where she ends up killing, uh, guys and then kissing them. Uh,
Nice.
but
Well, not
it's a good
nice,
film.
but yeah.
It's an underrated good Disney film.
It's an underrated good
from
Disney film.
2000 from
I feel
2003.
like a lot of people do love this film afterwards. A lot of people watch it on reruns like I did. I didn't watch it in the theaters either, but I definitely watched it on TV
Every
profusely.
time every time when it comes on, I used to watch it, whenever it come on TV and all. Like, I would just stop and do what I was doing and then watch it. It's one of those films that has a lot of rewatch value to it.
Definitely does. And the movie's fun. It's charming. It's a sweet film, but it also tackles some darker themes. And I feel like, you know, this movie is beloved by people in the 90s and the early 2000s. And we haven't really seen any movie kind of replace or compare to it. And why do you think that is? Why is there not another movie like Holes out there that people can like? I can't think of a movie that has the same feeling or maybe similar topics, but just not the same feeling of it.
I
Why
guess
do you think that is?
I guess because maybe like uh the whole generation has changed,
Mm.
and I guess a lot of people nowadays, don't want a certain type of film like that because, people like, they like their streaming. They like, like to be like, we all like to be on our phones and all. It's just, I don't think it would, I don't think it would, a film like that would, get somebody to, you know, have like that sense, like that sense
You
to
don't think
have
it'll hold their
hold their
attention?
attention. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. I feel like you're saying like the style of movie that people like to watch just doesn't fit that mold. Even if
Yeah.
they would try to make something like this but put it on streaming, you don't think it would do well?
I think it would, unless if they have like a good script to it and they promote it, you know, then they promote it a lot.
Yeah.
Because
Got
if you don't have that stuff and if you don't promote it, it's gonna get lost in the shuffle.
it. Lost in the shuffle. All right. Collect Movie Set Man said my first PG-13 movie was Titanic. I talked about that on the movie that made you. I still haven't seen the Titanic. I need to sit down and watch that one day.
I never
Have you
watched
seen it?
Titanic.
No,
No,
you haven't watched either.
no, it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I
And
hear
it's too
you.
long. It's too long of a film.
It's like 3 hours. It's crazy.
3 hours. It's for me to watch a 3 hour film. It has to hold my attention.
Yep.
Titanic,
Uh,
no, that film won't probably get my
I
attention.
don't think so. My first PG-13 movie was Spider-Man from 2002. What a great movie. We're going to be talking about movies soon. Holes is great. Yes, it is. I miss Movie Surfers. Man, when you said that, it just unlocked a part of my brain that I forgot was there.
Mhm.
Collective Movie Man's Never Seen Holes.
Gotta check it out, man.
I got no respect because I'm the new man. I got my shovel shoes full of sand. Check out the
Check
name.
out the
It's
name is
Caveman.
Caveman. Na 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 na.
Oh yeah, this is like a meme now. Yeah, I'm tired. Well, that's too damn bad.
Yes, yes.
That's amazing. Zero was cool. He was. It says Stanley Yelnats. Disney Channel played that a lot. Yep.
ABC
And yeah,
Family
this
Freeform used to play it a lot too.
it definitely has. Even though it's a fun movie, it definitely has darker elements. Kind of child labor and
Yeah,
what
dark
home.
stuff for a Disney film.
Yeah, like homelessness and things like that. So I could definitely see it having a little bit of darker elements. And I'm gonna end the poll. Let's see what you guys rated the movie. 50% A, 50% B. So it's split in between the middle.
Split.
But still good ratings overall. And someone just brought up Spider-Man 2 as a perfect transition because the next, well, not Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 2002. And that's a perfect transition because here it is, Spider-Man. Talk about Spider-Man and why this is such an important film for you.
When I first saw Spider Man uh, at my uncle's house, my aunt and uncle's house, he had it on DVD, and this is one film that I wish I would have got to see in the theater,
Of
but
course.
I couldn't. And I remember just my uncle have putting on the movie on, DVD. He had a whole setup of, like his flat screen TV and the speakers. He had speakers on the wall, and just watching the film, I just really enjoyed it. Finally again a Spider-Man film, because before this film came out, the character or like development of the film was in rights hell. It was in
Mhm.
development hell,
Yeah.
and they were trying to get one going, but that wasn't until Sam Raimi came into the production, and I like his take of Spider-Man. I like his direction. I thought Tobey Maguire was a good choice to play Peter Parker. I thought he was a good Spider-Man, and a lot of people relate to Sam Raimi Spider-Man films than the other ones, like Amazing Spider-Man and the Tom Holland Spider-Man films.
Yeah.
And I thought Kristen Dunst, she did good as Mary Jane, very likable character. Peter Parker, coming off as a likable character as well. When we first get introduced to him, we see him, like being like a nerd, with glasses. He looked very nerdy. And then
Yeah.
once he gets bit by a spider, that loose spider, and he wakes up, like his vision is good, and you don't have to wear the glasses no more. He used his powers. I thought that was pretty well done. uh, the scene where he's in the wrestling ring, he's in the cage, he's with the late great Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got you for 3 minutes.
That's great for a wrestling fan. I love seeing that cameo.
Yeah, and also I like the little chemistry that Tobey Maguire had with Cliff Robertson, the late great Cliff Robertson as Uncle Ben, and
Yeah.
the whole with great power comes with great responsibility line. That was, that was really good. Uh, you kind of really, feel bad when, his character, Cliff Robertson's character, Uncle Ben, gets shot because Tobey Maguire ended up treating him very poorly while they were in the car. And,
Yeah.
he kind of like, probably regrets saying that as, the film progressed after, his character gets killed off.
Yeah.
And I like that whole line sticks with him. With great power comes great responsibility, because he eventually does, achieve that.
Yeah.
And I like the whole story with Norman Osborn, played by Willem Dafoe. Very
Oh,
very good character. He's great
iconic.
as Norman Osborn. Very iconic. His Green Goblin, you know, was cool. Yeah, yeah. Nowadays, people, like including me, I'm like, yeah, Green Goblin's costume looks like something you would see out of Power Rangers. It really does look
Yeah.
like a Power Rangers villain in the
Yeah.
costume. But it's still a good performance by Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
James
Amazing performance. Well, and he was
James
scary
Franco.
back then.
They actually there was actually a photo online way before that they got the Green Goblin design of his suit. They were going for a more scary looking Green Goblin
Yeah.
costume, and it is online. You could type it in. But
So, in what way did this movie influence you, though? What
it
what what, what
influenced me
impact did it have on
because
you?
it came out after 9/11, and I
Hmm.
think at that time, people like us, we really needed a hero at that time, and Spider-Man came into that play, and it influenced me because it kind of saved me and people, uh, from again, like that scary things out of our head of 9/11,
Yeah.
and like we were really calling for a superhero, to eventually, of course, set in New York, eventually save us. And I've always loved the character of Spider-Man.
Yeah. So it's an inspiration,
It was,
especially in a time where, for us New Yorkers specifically, was in turmoil, right?
and
I
the film came out a year after 9/11.
year after. I have a question to ask about the impact, but I want to get to the next movie first, so you can put them against each other. But let's see what they have to say about the film first. So we got Collect the Movie Man talking about think about it, hero. Doing some movie quotes. He saw it in theaters. I think I saw it in
Wow.
theaters as well. I saw
I
all the Toby movies in theaters.
I saw all the Toby movies during their re-releases that they did months ago. And
Nice.
I got to see all three films in 35 millimeter at my Alamo Draft
Mm,
House.
nice.
And it kind of felt like I was watching those films brand new.
Yeah.
What's funny? During like the screen of Spider-Man 3 at my local ML Draft House, because it was on 35 millimeter, they actually showed the trailer for Surfs Up on that print of Spider-Man
Oh
3,
wow,
which that was cool.
that's hilarious. The way he cuts the turkey is scary every time.
He's like,
Facts. Stand here. Oh man, that song just playing in my head. I have to turn my trilogy 4K.
same as me. I
Nice.
have it all in that. I have it all in that 4K book collection.
And of course, the poll for this one, 100% A. That was expected. If anything lower, I would question the chat. But the next movie may be as influential or more influential than Spider-Man, and that is Iron Man. Talk about how Iron Man influenced you, why it's so important, and why it's on the list.
Iron Man is my favorite Marvel character, Marvel hero,
Okay.
and the casting for Robert Downey Jr. was perfect. He is Tony Stark. He looks like Tony Stark from the comics, and he was just an absolute perfect choice to play Iron Man. And what really influenced me was, how much of a good hero that Iron Man is, and how, he has all these suits, and he has a nice house, and him going around and saving the world. And also, this was the first movie in the MCU. This is the film
Yeah.
that kicked off this, the whole MCU, which was great. Sadly, I didn't get to see this film in the theater back in the day. I saw
Yeah.
it. I saw it with my dad on DVD, and we both ended up enjoying it. But
Nice.
I like Iron Man 2 as well. It's not as good as the first film, but I got some enjoyment out of it. Iron Man 3 I saw in the theater, and I thought it was okay. I liked it
That's-
though. I like Iron Man 3, aside from the whole Mandarin reveal, which was an absolute joke.
So with the first Iron Man, the impact is the fact that it introduced you to the MCU,
Yes.
which you end up loving. What about the character of Tony Stark, right? Because he's not the way they position him, and I think this was very important. He's not the traditional way you think a superhero would be, right? He's a
Yeah.
ladies' man. He's kind of a hole sometimes. He kind of reluctant to be a day-to-day superhero. He kind of doesn't do things like that, but he still does heroic things. And as 80 kids, but he built an armor inside a cave with a box of scraps. He
Yep.
was really inventive and smart. And uh, the character wasn't this charismatic jokester in the comics, but Rob Downey Jr. brought that to the character and kind of changed the character in the comics forever. And I feel like comic book movies forever. The question I want to ask you about this film versus Spider-Man, in terms of like the impact, which one do you think is more important for the comic book genre and impact?
I think the most important one, like out of the two characters,
Just these two movies.
Spider-Man, basically being the hero of people in New York, and saving people. Like, of course, he saves people from a burning building, and he ends up saving the people around New York. Saves
Yeah,
MJ,
yeah,
and saves just kids. Kids look up to Spider-Man.
yeah,
To whereas Tony Stark, he like you said, he's a ladies' man, uh, and he is kind of an asshole, to which Spider-Man isn't,
yeah,
and he's very inventive, to which Peter Parker just designed the Spider-Man suit by just drawing it,
yeah.
and then just
Knitting
taking
it
like some
together.
clothes and
Yeah,
just sewing it all together.
yeah.
And The main things that Tony Stark does, Peter Parker couldn't.
Yeah, I feel like they're very different characters morally because one comes from a poor background, he comes from loving parents versus step parents versus Tony Stark that comes from a rich background and has parents that are maybe a little less attentive. I do find it interesting how different they were, but also how like they're both geniuses. It's just the lack of resources versus having all the resources in the world, and how different heroes they are. But I feel like in terms of like the impact on the comic book culture, as much as I love Spider-Man 2002, and I think it's an important film in the comic book culture in terms of saving it and legitimizing it. I think people saw that movie and was like, "Oh, I could take these movies seriously. They're not just colorful, goofy stuff." But I think Iron Man being a film about your interpersonal demons instead of actual like day-to-day saving people, I think that has affected comic book movies overall,
Yeah,
right? Like if you look at every MCU film, most of it is not about day-to-day saving other than the Spider-Man films. Like Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man has kept that intact
hmm
for at least two of his films, but the rest of the MCU and some is affected the DCU is really about your personal drama and how it ties into the villain getting into it,
and and also like you said, they're inner demons.
their inner demons. And
And
you
take
look
for
at Cap, Thor.
and take for this film, Tony Stark going up against uh, Obadiah Stane, played by Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, somebody that he is like not related to, but looks up to. It's kind of like family, even though he's not family. So I find that very interesting. I do think that Iron Man, even though it's not, I don't know if Spider-Man Tobey Maguire is more beloved than Iron Man. I think the impact for is more beloved, but I do think that Spider-Man 2002 people rewatch more.
Yeah, they rewatch they rewatch the Tobey Maguire films. Yes, there are some people that do enjoy Spider-Man 3. I enjoy Spider-Man 3 as a guilty pleasure. Yes, the
I
film
like
has
Spider-Man 3
problems.
too.
Yes, the film has problems, but still, it's a entertaining film.
It's definitely an entertaining film.
With Spider-Man 2 being the best out of the Sam Raimi films.
Speaking of the film that are the best of, and one of the films that you already said that's one of your favorites of all time, Back to the Future. Talk to me about Back to the Future, a film that I still have not seen. Why is this your favorite film? Why is it so impactful for you?
First of all, I gotta say, I am shocked that you didn't see it.
You shouldn't. I'm the baby cinephile. I haven't seen tons of classic films.
Well, Back to the Future is a film that I saw on TV. I saw it on I saw it on TBS uh, back in the day, and I really was enthralled with the film and how effects wise was great, especially the effects on the DeLorean of Michael J. Fox's character Marty McFly going back in time, and uh, the production of the film, the way that the film looked, with his character going into the 50s, and it just really captured uh, what the 50s were like at that time and how
Hmm.
people dressed, how people hung out, how people were very different that time than compared to how it was in the 80s when the film came out and where the film was set at the beginning. And just by how the looks of like stores were, and people were going into like diners hanging out, that which pretty much basically that was like the spot where people would like hang out back in that time in the 50s, and you could tell by that in TV shows and some films. And what influenced me about this film was how Marty, as Michael J. Fox's character, was going to get home, and
Hmm.
how the DeLorean was used and all the technology that was in it, from the flux capacitor to the circuits that were used on how to go back in time and how to go you know forward. into time. With Michael J. Fox's character going back to the 80s to 1985. It just had a really big influence on me.
Mm, gotcha.
And
So the time period had a big influence
the
on your
time
life.
period had a big influence.
And
It's seeing and
how did that reflect in your real life?
it reflected my real life, like how people I see act nowadays,
Mm,
and to how how the world is nowadays compared to the world that it was back in the day, where people were just hanging out and talking to each other, and saying, oh, do you want to go do this? Oh, let's go do that, and everybody just having a fun time. And there was a lot more like open to people with going outside and doing all these nice things,
yeah,
and pretty much people basically behaving well mannered, to what that's missing nowadays, in the world with people. Which I think that the world nowadays needs to go back to being like that, and not being too, as people would say, being too uh you know being too political, like people taking offense to everything.
mm,
Because back in the day, you could joke to people, and they would understand the joke, and laugh along with it and not be offended. So I think that you know the world nowadays should go back to you know how people were in the 80s, how people were in the 50s, like that, and
gotcha.
spending time with the family.
Yeah, family time was a big thing where you actually sit down and with your family and eat and talk and don't have phones and technology in the way and connect in the way. And people had to go out. You didn't have GPS, so you just had to find your way to places. Transportation wasn't as easy, so I could definitely see like that difference there, in terms of culturally how people connected more back then. I don't know if it was necessarily nicer back then, but I do think people connected easier, because we didn't have the internet as a barrier. So I find that's kind of dope to look at that through that lens. Um, let's see what people got to
I have a
say.
whole big Back to the Future collection right over here. Like
Nice,
I have the DeLoreans from the first films. I have
yeah,
I think one from the second film. Also have the stuff up on top there, the mechas.
nice.
So that's cool. And you can tell how much of a fan I am. I have the VHSs up there, the first one, and then I have two sets of the Back to the Future trilogy on VHS. I have the Canadian version and the US version as well, and I also have the three films on Laserdisc as well.
Nice. Wanted to say hello to Nanette. I waved to you, but I wanted to make sure you saw that.
How you doing?
I love this film, Zach. You need to watch it. It's on my list. It's on my list. Go Johnny, go Johnny, go Johnny, be good. I'm guessing that's a quote. I think Back to the Future is a great movie. I hit the A for it. Nice. Don't take my money. Don't take fame. Don't need credit card to ride this train, but you might just see it in your eyes. That's the
That's
power of
the
love.
power of love.
Was there a lot of singing in this movie?
Uh Huey Lewis. That's the Huey Lewis soundtrack. It's not a
Oh,
musical,
it's a soundtrack.
but
Gotcha, gotcha,
Michael J. Fox's character sings "Go Johnny Go" in one of the
gotcha.
scenes.
Nanette says, I have a question for Michael if I can ask. Yeah, go ahead.
What's the question?
Richard Benson says, Yo, I
That's
didn't know
my
you were
buddy right there.
famous. Oh,
That's my friend there.
what's up, Richard? How are you doing, man?
What's up,
Oh,
Rich?
he's I didn't know
Yo,
you were
thank you for
famous.
tuning in, bro.
That's hilarious. I miss the days when we didn't have Apple Tech. I can see that. Zach needs to watch Back to the Future, his next movie marathon. We'll see.
Yes, yes.
Maybe I'll do that after I finish this Return of the King review that's been months late. Show him the wrestling stuff. Not right now. Not right now. Not right
Not
now.
right now, Rich, but look right up there.
Well,
Right up there.
I am a
You'll see
wrestling
all
fan
that.
though,
You'll see all that.
so I appreciate it.
All that up there.
I see a little bit. I see a little Macho Man. I see you.
See,
And let's
there
talk
you go.
about a film that
Just for my buddy Rich.
I appreciate. Let me see. Hold on. Let me end the poll. Of course, everybody put like a good old A for Back to the Future, as expected. Let's get into a film that's a little bit more emotional, a little bit more on the more realistic tone. That's Stand By Me, a film that I haven't seen in ages. I know I saw when I was very, very young. Talk to me why this movie is so impactful and important for you.
Stand By Me is a film that I remember uh, seeing a scene of the train scene where they're running on the tracks away from the train. It was a scene that was on my. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a board game called Seen It.
Yeah,
There there was a there was a Seen It movie edition, and I still have it.
yeah,
There was a scene uh, where Gordy and love you love you too, Rich. No homo. But there was a scene where they were running on the tracks and they were running on the tracks and they were trying to get away from the train. And I remember like being so impacted by that scene. I was like, oh, are they gonna make it off the tracks? You know, or are they gonna get killed by the train? But
yeah,
yeah. Michael Keaton wasn't in Stand By Me. Uh and so like when they got off the tracks and the train came, I was like, oh, what, are they dead? And then
yeah,
we see River Phoenix and Corey Feldman on the tracks, and we see Will Wheaton and Jerry O'Connell characters, you know, in the rubble there. And I'm like, oh,
yeah,
thank God they survived.
yeah,
And that was the only one scene that I saw of that film, thanks to that that Scene It movie game. Now, when I first saw the whole film in full, I remember seeing it after I graduated middle school.
mm.
And I remember we went to Circuit City. A lot of you probably remember Circuit City back in the day.
I used to work at Circuit City. Fun fact.
Circuit City, and they had the DVD there, which I still
Yeah,
have. It's the deluxe edition that has. I'll pull it out right here so you all can see it because I think this edition is out of print. So it was it was this edition of the film that I got
nice.
at Circuit City, and it comes with the DVD and also the CD in it. It also has a soundtrack in it as well, and a collectible book. So I watched I watched the whole film, and I was just so into the story. I was into the perspective of Will Wheaton's character Gordy, and the film is based off the Stephen King novel The Body.
Mm.
So it was very different for a Stephen King book because it was not horror related, and it's just
Yeah, because
and
usually he's known for his aura.
yeah, and the film is just basically about these boys, going to look for a dead body, and it took them like 3 days just to find the body, and we see the adventures of them going on like the train tracks, going through like these certain areas, like they go through the woods. One scene they go through a swamp and they come out covered in leeches. So, but
Yeah,
it's
I
kind of
remember watching as a kid and being like scared about going on adventures like that.
I didn't even know. I thought it was a PG film. I didn't even know that it was R rated until years later.
Oh wow,
Mhm.
what gave it its R rating?
Was it?
What gave it its R rating?
The language in the film, like
Oh, okay, yeah,
the four kids are using like language.
cussing.
Uh, yeah, that's pretty much basically that. And then like the dead body of the kid, you see like blood, like
Oh,
coming
okay,
out of him.
gotcha. Well,
And
what would you say is the most impactful part of the film on you at that age, and what it do for you?
the most impactful for me is like Gordy's dad. Like he didn't like understand him at first.
Mm,
So like that kind of resonated with me as I watched the film because like me and my dad, nowadays we don't have like a like sort of close relationship.
Yeah.
and that kind of like that kind of like you know like how should I say like like
Spoke to
I
you.
feel like I'm like the Gordy character.
Gotcha.
Like at
Okay.
points he really didn't like understand me and you know what I wanted to do in life. You know, like sort of
Yeah.
like that. Like I was more close to my mother than my father.
That makes sense. Gotcha. Okay. That's powerful. That's definitely powerful.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, this is like the book that it came with, which is cool.
this
Like
is the
behind the scenes
question
book.
Nanette had for you.
Do you like Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd in their other movies, or just the Back to the Future movies, or somewhere in the middle? I like Michael J. Fox in other films. Like I like The Frighteners, underrated Peter Jackson film. Uh, of course, him voicing Stuart Little in the first two Stuart Little films. Which the Stuart Little films, I have to say that they're very forgotten about. Like not a lot of people talk about the Stuart Little films anymore.
Yeah.
Like I remember when they came out, like everybody was like talking about and how cute it looked, how cute Stuart looked.
Yeah.
And I thought Michael J. Fox was, a good choice to voice him.
I
Christopher
think
Lloyd,
Ratatouille kind of took Stuart Little's thunder.
yeah, Christopher Lloyd, I've seen like a few films from him. Of course, Who Framed Roger Rabbit as Judge Doom. There you go, Kiefer Sutherland.
One thing I wish we still did like the 80s did is we actually talked to each other in person. There were different communities that you could go do back then and meet people. There's nothing like that. That's not 100% true. You can still do that. There's out there. You just gotta go out and do it. I get texts every day from this app that tells me about different things I can go do outside all the time. So there's different things you can do. You just gotta do a little research. Use the internet.
Exactly.
He meant great line. I really like most of the times that's great communities where you can talk to. It's just finding the right place. Yeah. So 80s Kids was saying exactly what I was saying. Collective Movie has never seen Stand By Me, so that's a movie that you can add to your list. He said there's a 4K steelbook that he wants to get.
I have it on
Uh,
4K as well.
it's a hard movie to watch, but it's a good movie. Remembers Stuart Little. He's bringing up Angels in Outfield. That's a
Great
classic right
one.
there. Crystal Lloyd is a good actor. Yeah, I remember Circus City. I used to have one just down the street from me and it closed down. Yep. For me too, unfortunately. Let's end this poll. What I'm looking at, it looks like 100% of people voted giving Stand By Me an A, which is a beautiful film that I remember watching and not being able to handle. This next film is one of the most impactful comic movies of all time. I really want to see why this influenced you so much and talk about it with you. That's The Dark Knight. I forgot to remove the Stand By Me. And talk to me about The Dark Knight. Why is it so impactful for you? And is this your favorite Batman movie?
This is my favorite Batman movie.
Okay.
And I remember seeing it in IMAX when it came out. Went to
Mhm.
the AMC IMAX in the city. I think it was Lincoln Square with a huge IMAX screen.
Yeah.
And I went with my dad, went with my went with my sister, and one of her friends.
Yeah.
And I was just so enthralled with the film and how it looked. With Christian Bale's Batman. Actually, I thought this at the time this film was better than Batman Begins,
Mm.
which I thought was okay. I remember seeing that in the theater as well. But this was way better than Batman Begins. And the one thing that influenced me was the Joker, Heath Ledger's
Mm.
Joker. With him, trying to get revenge on some of these people that wronged him, and just basically the whole impact of how Heath Ledger's performance was at the time, where a lot of people were praising him and it being a great performance, and then him passing away uh,
Yeah.
way before the film came out,
Yeah.
so he never really got to see the finished product.
which
So
is sad.
and then a lot of people were pushing for an Oscar nominee for him. And eventually, the Academy ended up listening, and he won the Oscar for it.
Yep.
And also, another influence on me is just me being a Batman fan, me being a big Batman fan.
It just added on to your fandom
Hmm.
for the character. That's dope. So I've been on record, talking about this movie. Talking about how it is equally positively impacted the comic book culture, but also negatively impact comic book culture. Speak on that a little bit. How the positive and negative impacts of the Dark Knight on comic book movies in general and TV shows.
Positive impact on this is, if you have a good comic, if you have a good story in a comic book film like this one, it could easily succeed and keep the audience's attention.
Yeah.
And same for, TV shows. If you have a good plot for a season and could go through the whole season, with it being good, then you have the audience's attention. If you have a story that is boring, then people, like for a TV show, for a comic book TV show, if you don't have a synopsis as to where the story is going to go in a
Mhm.
TV show, eventually your audience is going to drop and the ratings aren't going to be that good.
Yeah.
Now for, you know, film, now for a negative aspect in film, you have to basically know where the film is going to progress for comic films. You have to have character development. You have to have uh, a sense as to where to take a sense where to take the character, and also uh, what is going to be the problem for this character to eventually solve. If you don't have any of that, then your audience is not going to enjoy the film. And then when another film comes out that's a sequel, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna see that film. The first one was a disappointment to me. I mean, what else could they fuck up in the sequel?
Mm, gotcha. And let's see what the people have to say. I'm going to end the poll real quick. Surprisingly, not as many A's as I expected. I expected to get a flood of A's, but this was
I
66%
was
B's.
expecting a flood of A's too.
Me too. This every movie had an
Hey,
A, 100%. But hey,
and the Dark Knight Rises, I gotta say, I enjoyed that as well, but definitely
you
not
talking
as
about
good as
yeah,
Dark.
Rises with the Bane. Yeah,
Yeah, but definitely not as good as Dark Knight.
yeah. I think the three out of the three films, Dark Knight is definitely the best. It's not my favorite Batman movie. Probably, if I'm not included animated movies, I'm talking about just live action Batman. It's my third favorite film, but it's still a phenomenal film, and I think it's one you could put like Spider-Man 2, Blade, Iron Man, and The Dark Knight as films that has legitimized the comic book genre.
I would put Dark Knight up there with Tim Burton's Batman films. Like
That's
Batman
fair.
89 will be my number one. Batman Returns, no, Batman Returns number two, and Dark Knight are number three. So that'd be my top
Nice,
three.
nice. So let's see. He said, oh my God, yes, Ledger was unbelievable." And he said, "Where is she?" The voice. The why so serious. I do think Dark Knight is the best Batman movie, but it's not my favorite. She says, "I'm the hero that Gotham deserves, but not the one that it needs." That's something that people still use all the times in memes and quotes. She said, "I picked B because it's a great movie, but it's not my favorite. But everybody else will probably do A." And then right after that, I selected B. So not everybody's pressed A, but Richard gave it an A. He said perfect adaptation of the Batman animated series. I don't know if it is.
I never watched the Batman anime series back in the day.
You should. It holds up.
I
You
never
should
grew
watch
up
it.
with it.
You should
I've heard
definitely
good
watch
things
it.
about it. I do
Yeah.
have Mask of the Phantasm. So
Great film.
that's the only thing. That's the only thing I have of Batman the anime series.
You should definitely check it out. Gordon was awesome. That he's a great actor. So of course, yeah, the Bat Pod was really dope for like the Batmobile. I really like that innovation in terms of his tech. Gordon was definitely awesome. The Dark Knight. Bale was definitely Gordon. Hold on. Bale was done after that with Nolan. Bale was done after that with Nolan. What does he mean by that? I'm not sure what he means by that. Absolutely love The Dark Knight. Favorite Batman movie of all time. I saw The Dark Knight 4 times in theaters. Wow.
Wow.
B, only because Batman voice. His voice was a lot better in Begins. It did get aggressively more like he was smoking 7 packs a day as the series went on.
I'm Blackbeard.
Hey, Kenny Sparks is here.
Hi,
What's
Kenny.
up, man? He said it's not. I'm not sure what he means. Heath Ledger actually won Best Actor for this movie, and his wife accepted it on his behalf. It's not an adaptation of the Batman anime series at all. Yeah, I didn't feel like it was either. Going into the next film. Well, actually, no, that's the ending of your teenage years. So I would say your teenage years was full of a lot of fantasy films, right? Like a lot of fantasy films, Spider-Man, Iron Man, a lot of bands, Batman, a lot of bands, but you had that balance with things like Holes and Stand By Me. Obviously, you had Back to the Future, which is kind of in between those kind of films. But I feel like you continue to explore your imaginations, very similar to your childhood, just more mature films, obviously, which makes sense because you matured. You're now a teenager. You're getting closer to 18. You're going to be watching more movies with a little bit more violence, more thoughtful themes. So it's really interesting to see that transition where like you what you're into didn't change. It's just the level of film that you watched kind of changed. Let me put a poll and ask people what their favorite film from your teenage years was. Teenage years. So obviously Dark Knight. We have Iron Man, Spider-Man, the good old superhero movies. And then the last one, what should I put up the last one? What stands a chance? I guess Back to the Future. This is going to be very, very interesting to see which one wins because these are 4
I could
very,
take a guess.
very.
I could take a guess.
Which one do you think?
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight. Okay, let's see because a lot of people gave it a B and people gave the other films A's. So let's see which one wins. I think this is going to be the hardest one so far.
Oh,
But
my buddy Rich said Christian Bale and the director Christopher Nolan apparently had a falling out after the third film, after Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, that makes sense because Christian Bale was supposed to be in Dawn of Justice and he backed out of it. So
And they got Ben
that kind of
Affleck.
makes sense. Yep. So let's get into it, right? So we summed up your teenage years. We saw all the movies that influenced you during your teenage years. Now we're talking about adult years. So this is basically like the last 4 years. Really. So it's going to be very interesting. So I forgot to move the Dark Knight. Adulthood. Look at you right there on the top left. Oh, no, actually, that's up there. Never mind. That can't be you. Yeah. So the first movie that it's going to be talking about in your adult years is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's the first Avengers. Talking about the impact of the Avengers after watching Iron Man. You know, it's another MCU film on your list. How did the Avengers impact you?
This film, I remember the hype leading up to this. This was absolutely like the biggest hype that you could ever imagine for a Marvel film.
Yeah.
You know, because you got Iron Man, started out with Iron Man, went into Iron Man 2, then you went into Thor, which was great. Then you went into Captain America, the First Avenger, which was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yes.
And
First Avenger fan.
Captain America, the First Avenger, I think it's a very underrated film. Like, not many people talk about the first Captain America film.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about more of the Winter Soldier, which is definitely the best Captain America film.
Of the 3. Yeah.
Yeah, of the 3. And I just remember at the end of Captain America, the First Avenger, seeing that teaser for the Avengers
Oh, yeah.
and being hyped for that. And I remember the trailers coming out for it. I was so excited for it. I was like, yes, I'm definitely going to be here day one or opening weekend for it. So I saw the film. I saw it twice in the theater, twice in 3D. And the
Wow.
3D was absolutely amazing for
Yeah.
the film. Yeah. And just seeing all these superheroes come together in just one movie
Yeah.
was amazing. like
So
the
many
hype for this
amazing
film was
moments.
so yeah, like the hype for this movie was unreal, and just them, trying to fight Loki and getting the Tesseract.
Yeah,
It was awesome. A lot of humorous moments,
of course.
and it
Staple.
has a good
It became
story,
a staple of the MCU.
and it has a great story to it as well, and a lot of action that will keep you on the edge of your seat.
And great performances.
Great
Everyone gave it
performances
their
as well.
all, took it as serious as they could. I love that about early on MCU. All the actors took it as serious as they could because they understood the importance of the characters and how people loved it. As a kid growing up reading comics, watching the animated series, seeing these characters come together for the first time was just like a magical experience. So I'm glad that you have this on your list. Do I have a question for you for the Avengers? Yes, I did. So this is going to be an interesting question, right? So I noticed that you don't have any Star Wars films, you don't have any Lord of the Rings films, you don't have any Star Trek films on this list. The films that people usually have on their lists as films that they love and influence them and things like that. But you have a couple MCU films. Is the MCU your Star Wars, Lord of the Rings? Is that your staple sci-fi fantasy franchise?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely is, and I enjoyed the MCU more over the DCU.
Okay.
Uh, I'm not huge on the Lord of the Rings or Star Trek. They're not my cup of tea. Star
Gotcha.
Wars, I really enjoy. I'm not like the hugest Star Wars fan, but I
Yeah.
enjoy the films. I like the characters. I like the whole universe of it. But I'm not like a big Star Wars fan. Like, oh, like I gotta be here day one to see it. Oh, I'm gonna collect all the figures and the toys, and I'm not gonna turn to one of those people that are like, oh, you don't like Last Jedi. Oh, well, fuck you then. Like
Yeah.
I'm not in
The
like that
toxic
same
fandom.
toxic fan base. Because Star Wars, you have the fans, that are like toxic there.
Yeah.
And the MCU has its toxic fan base as well, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna insert myself into that toxicity of
I feel
fans.
like the Star Wars toxicity is more concentrated than the this MCU one. I feel like that's a little bit more spread out. But yeah, both fan bases do have some toxicity, but I do think it's hard to get into the franchise because how people are so like if you have a different opinion. Like for example, I like The Last Jedi. A lot
I
of
do
shit
too.
for it. Yeah, like I get a lot of shit for it. But it's just like let me enjoy what I enjoy. If you didn't enjoy it, whatever. Like I don't like Secret Invasion, but if you like Secret Invasion,
I never
I'm
watched
not
it though. I've heard mixed things about it.
I tell people not to watch it all the time. But if you want to go watch it, that is fair because I always say go see it for yourself so you can make your own opinion.
Yeah,
I have people, yeah,
everybody has a right to their own opinion. You may
everyone
not
has
agree
rights
with
to
it,
opinion.
but if somebody says, "Oh, you don't like that film," say, you say to them, "That's cool if you like it, or it's cool if you don't like it."
Yeah, and people like to throw around subjective and objective. There's no objective thoughts about films, right? Like
See see, I was
it's all
like that back
subjective.
in the day. I was like that back in the day to some people, like, for people that didn't like a certain film, I would be like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" and all like that. But
Yeah,
as I, grew up and, slightly matured myself,
yeah,
I'm
became
like to
more
myself,
demure.
if somebody said, "Oh, they don't like the film," I'm like, "Okay, that's cool if you don't like it." We have a right to our own opinions.
Yeah, tell me why you didn't like it. Let me see. Maybe there's things that I missed, or your experience, but just might be very different from mine. Your right. Your experiences life affect how you see films. So that's exactly why it'll be different. So I love the first Avengers. I think that it changed the dynamics of a lot of franchises outside the MCU, where people want to do team up movies now instead of having a movie with a lead and having a bunch of supporting characters. They want everybody to feel important, like how they felt important in the Avengers. So it is definitely an influential film, and I love that how it opened it up for you. Let's see what they have to say in here. Oh, first of all, The teenage years, 60% of the votes was for Back to the Future, so it won
All
overwhelmingly.
right,
And The Dark Knight was 40, and the other two didn't get any, which is surprising.
that's surprising. There was
Yeah,
Spider-Man and Iron Man.
I know.
That's surprising.
Very surprised, especially with Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I picked Back to the Future. I couldn't get into those movies. I'm not sure which movie he was talking about at the time.
I think he was saying the event. Like, is it the
The
MCU?
MCU? Oh,
Let
surprising.
us know, Rich.
Yeah. Zach, I didn't mean that. Oh, he just gave him the vibes of the animated series. I hear you. I love the Avengers, love that movie. But I don't know, but
If they
I
were
know
going to
they
be a big
were
deal.
going to be deal. So he's probably talking about the MCU.
Yeah.
First of all, welcome to the live stream. He said, wait,
Hey,
Danielson won the AEW
Brian.
title today?
Yeah, Brian Danielson ended up defeating Swerve Strickland.
Oh, I'm very mixed on that. Very, very
No,
mixed on that.
I agree. No, I was picking for Brian Danielson to win it
Yeah.
because we're on there. He's on his final, uh,
Run.
tour, his final run, and he's going to drop the title at Wrestle Dream. That's my prediction, and then he's going to retire in his home state of Washington because Wrestle Dream is going to be in Washington this year.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Or he might not even drop it. He might win and then just relinquish the title. Let's click. Hey, first Avengers is still the best Marvel film. That's debatable, but a fair opinion. Back to the Future was my vote. Classic. Did you watch Earth Mightiest Heroes cartoon in 2010?
Nope.
No. Amazing show. I love that show so much. You definitely, if you get a chance, check it out. Love the old school Star Wars. I picked A for Avengers. Shouldn't get mad if you don't like one side. See? Richard understands. I don't like the sequel trilogy either, and I don't buy every Star Wars figure. I just buy my favorite characters. It's not fun to be a Star Wars fan like it used to be.
It has
Yeah,
due to the toxicity of its fans, of some
yeah,
of its fans.
exactly. Like for the sequel trilogy, I really love Force Awakens. I love Last Jedi. I just think Rise Skywalker is a piece of shit.
I like the film as well, but I'm not gonna be like, oh, you don't like it. Oh, well, go
Yeah,
fuck off, like that. I'm not gonna
and
be
I'm
like
pretty
that.
sure people love that film because it made $1 billion. There's no way the movie would make $1 billion if people didn't like it.
If you mention those films to like Star Wars fans, you're like, oh, well, you like the Disney Star Wars films? They're going down. Disney's
Yeah,
bringing Star Wars down. I'm like, I enjoy them.
not for me. Rogue One was amazing.
Yeah, Rogue One, I liked. Solo, that film.
I do not like Star Wars, but I do collect Baby Yodas. I think Baby Yoda is bigger than Star Wars at this point, which is hilarious. He's supposed to get neck surgery at the end of the year.
Yeah, Brian Danielson.
Best deep dish steak nachos? Wow, I never heard of that before.
Nice.
I like Rise of Skywalker, but it's not perfect. Well, no movie's perfect, so that's fair. Okay, let's move into the next film. And this is a film that I've always wanted to see, but still have not seen. So tell me why people feel this film is so great, and on top of it, why it's an influential film for you. And that's The Chronicle.
All right. Well, Chronicle, I remember seeing the trailer to it, and I was like, wow, this is kind of new because it's a superhero film
Mhm.
and it's also a found footage. It's set in a found footage film.
Yeah.
It's filmed found footage, and it's a different take on the superhero genre.
Yeah.
And this film was written by John Landis' son, Max Landis, and directed by Josh Trank. Of course, we all know he did that shitty Fan4-Stick film, Fantastic Four. But his sense of directing this film was really good. And it's basically these guys, they have like superpowers, they have telekinetic abilities, like Michael B. Jordan's character. In one scene in the film, he moves a car. And Dane DeHaan's character is like the most powerful character with the powers. Like in the end, he just goes crazy in the film and just destroying the city. And this is a film that I wish would have gotten a sequel.
Mm.
And they were eventually going to do one, but apparently, uh, this it didn't come into tuition because of stuff that was going on, I guess, with Fox and like Disney, because
Yeah.
Fox, because at that time Disney was buying out Fox, or they bought Fox,
Yeah.
and I guess there was talks about them still doing the sequel, but eventually plans end up falling out. Yeah, thank you Disney for not giving us a sequel to this film because it highly deserves one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you for not giving it us to us, fucking Disney.
So what about what elements? Because I'm going to ask you a question to deepen this, but what elements about this movie felt influential at the time? Is it because it's a different kind of comic book movie?
It's a different kind of
Um,
comic book film,
yeah,
and it's not a film where the characters are wearing like tights and capes. They're just ordinary people. It's like
yeah,
Heroes. It's like the show Heroes, which
yeah,
I really enjoy. Yes, I do enjoy the whole series of Heroes. Yes, it did go downhill after the second season,
yeah.
but I enjoy that show, despite its problems. But that's a show where they are superheroes and they have powers, and they're not wearing, your typical capes and tights
Costumes.
and costumes and stuff. It's just ordinary, people. And that's what I like about this film. It's just ordinary, everyday people, and they discover that they have powers.
Nice.
And it's an
So what
ori-
films? Yeah,
and it's an original story. It's not like, oh, they gotta save the world and you know all like that.
it's more self-contained.
Yeah. And I did love this film. Throughout it. Throughout the film, and
Yeah,
it just held my interest. I saw it in the theater, and right when I walked out of it, I was like, wow, that film was amazing. I hope that they do a sequel.
nice. So with movies like Chronicle, Kick-Ass, Wanted, V for Vendetta, comic book movies that people love, but sometimes forget that are comic book movies. Do you think it's important for them to continue to make self-contained, independent, non-MCU, non-DCU comic book movies?
Yeah, I really do wish that studios would focus more into, the independent comics line of characters that we haven't heard of, and just get away. Put a break on the MCU and the DCU films, and characters. Explore more into, giving us characters in comics that we never heard of, and giving them, their own personality, their own origin stories, and making us, like these characters and invest in them.
Yeah, and I think that it helps keeps the genre alive. What we see with a lot of movies in certain genres, like westerns and like comedies, and they don't evolve and they don't diversify. Once something's a hit, they kind of just copy it until they kill it to death. And now you see they're straight to streaming. I think when we have stuff like the Joker, even though that's DC, it's a very different take on it, and you can it's not connected to nothing, so it's not you don't have to be
It's
a
its own
fan.
standalone film.
Won't stand alone film. You don't have to be a fan of anything else. You don't even need to know anything about the Joker to appreciate it. If you do know about the character, you get a little bit more enjoyment out of it. But if you don't, you get $1 billion film, right? And now they could play with that and make a musical for the second one. You can't do
Ugh,
that, really. I know,
I'm not even
not the
looking forward
best
to it.
decision. I'm not a big fan of musicals, but we can see like when you're in a universe, it's hard to play around with certain things. Like they try to make a horror movie, then they had to scale back because they were scared. They try to make the Marvels a musical, they had to scale back that because they were scared. So like you can't take as much risk. But like Wanted could be very different from a Chronicle. Chronicle be different from I think it's like Push was a movie that people really liked. That was a comic book movie.
I never heard.
We have
I never seen it, but I have it in my collection though.
yeah,
I've
and there's
heard mixed
another
things about it.
film actually another film like we have right after this, and we're gonna jump into this, and then I'll get right back into the comics. It's not a comic book, but it's a well, yeah, no, it's based off a comic book. Another comic book film, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Talk about the importance of Scott Pilgrim versus the World for you.
This is a film that I remember watching on Cinemax when it was
Mm,
shown.
Wow.
And right from the get go, as soon as the Universal logo came on and the 8 bit Universal music started playing, I was like, all
Yeah.
right, I'm definitely going to love this film and enjoy it. And the one thing that I like about this film is the many video game references that it has.
Mm, yeah.
And you got like Zelda, the Zelda music in the opening, where we get introduced to Scott Pilgrim and his his friends, the characters in his band. And I think it's very original. I know it's based off the comic.
Yeah.
I never read the comic.
They
I
changed
understand.
things.
I understand what the comic is, and the the plot to them. Yeah, that's what made Michael B. Jordan. That was
His
one of
breakout.
his first roles, his breakout role in a very underrated film. But getting back to Scott Pilgrim, what I really did like is Michael Cera's character as Scott
Mhm.
Pilgrim. Very very fun character. Although he does although he does come off as an asshole at points because he leaves his girl for Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, and basically he has to fight all of Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character's exes,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much basically what the plot of the film is about. It's just him going through you know Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character's exes and fighting them off. So, but I enjoy Scott Pilgrim. It's a very fun film that sadly did not do well at the box office when it came out.
Of course.
It got beaten by The Expendables.
Which is the
Uh,
film I like, but Scott Pilgrim is better.
I like The Expendables as well. But this is a film that after it came out and it bombed, a lot of people talk about it now. A lot of people
Yeah.
loved it. It did good when it came out to DVD, Blu-ray,
Yep.
and we got a 4K of it as well,
Yep.
thanks to Universal. And we also got a re-release in 2021
Nice.
because apparently it was supposed to come out for its 10th anniversary in 2020, but of course the pandemic,
Yeah.
was happening, so they end up pushing it back until 2021. And I actually did get to see the film in theaters during its re-release.
Nice.
AMC released it in like their Dolby Cinema,
Hmm.
and right when the band started playing in the opening credits, the whole theater like shook, and like the seats ended up shaking. And I was like, wow, this is gonna be fun. And it was the best movie experience I've been like I one of my best movie experiences with
Wow.
this film.
That's so dope. And
And there was some people in the theater too, which was cool.
yeah. Have you got to see the anime that they made, the sequel
Not
anime?
not yet. I've
Okay.
heard good things about it.
Yeah, are good things about it as well. So in terms of like, yeah, this is one of the most stylish comic book movies. It's one of the more unique stories. We just talked about having unique stories that's a little different. It's self-contained. It's not saving the world. It's an interpersonal thing. He's not really a superhero.
Mm,
What aspects of it really you feel like as an adult? Because this movie came out so long ago. It came out when we were pretty young. But you saw it as an adult.
I
What
was in
aspects of
I
it?
was in my I was in my I was I think 19 when it
Okay,
came
so you're
out.
still pretty young.
Yeah.
Well, you're still pretty young right now, but you were younger.
Going on
Um,
19 to 18 when it came out. Came
yeah.
out in the
So as an
summer.
18, 19-year-old at the time, what spoke to you specifically about this film that you feel like is an influence for you?
Mostly the video game references because
Okay.
I was a gamer as a kid, and that was what I invest that's why I invested more as a kid, playing games. Even when I came home from school, I was always gaming, which I do less nowadays. I mean, I still play, games, but it's not like as big as I was back in the day.
Yeah.
It's just sort of the game references uh,
Gotcha.
in the film really stuck with me.
Dragon Movie Guy, for first of all, thank you for saying you love the live stream. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
And welcome to the live stream. He says, as a Seattle native, I never appreciate Hollywood using Seattle as an allegory for far away, but still domestic. You see it all the time. Where did George Clooney go after he left ER? Seattle. They do that a lot. I don't know why. I guess it just seems like a faraway place for, especially for me as someone that lives in New York.
Same as me.
Where is Seattle? It's off somewhere 1,000 miles away from me. Which is probably is not.
That's like me
um,
saying, where is like Oregon?
yeah.
Where
Well, that
where's
is pretty far for us.
yeah, where's Vegas? Where is Texas?
Yeah.
New Mexico,
And
California.
yeah, Viva Vendetta was meh. That's interesting.
I actually do like that film.
Me too. I think I watched and reviewed it last year, and I enjoyed the shit out of it.
Very underrated.
Very, very underrated. Another comic book film that's very independent. I really want Image Comics comic books to be brought to life, like Saga, Tokyo Ghost, and a bunch of other stories that they have. I think could be great television shows and movies. Dragon Guy says he loves this format. I appreciate that. Richard loved this movie. Dragon Guy also loved it. Seven Evil X's. Cinemax sounds like a cool drink, like Powerade, or cool theater chain. Nice. Cinemax back in the day was a jam. Scott, oh, she's never seen Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I think you would enjoy
Watch
it.
it. Please watch it.
Definitely go
It's
check
great.
it out. 80s Kid also don't know this film. I think watch it, 80s Kid. I think you enjoy it. Just like Nightmare Before Christmas, where it didn't do good at the box office, but got known over time. Yeah,
It was a sleeper hit when it came out, Nightmare
yeah.
Before Christmas, but it didn't get big until VHS and TV eras
Reruns on
came into play.
TV and things
Yeah.
like that.
See,
Okay.
that's what I like about a film, where like if it doesn't do well at the box office, it gets more attention. It becomes a cult classic on VHS, or DVD. Well, back in the day, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, 4K,
Yeah,
and on TV.
that's why physical media was so important back in the day,
Yeah,
because it was a second and revenue that could make a movie do
people
well.
say nowadays physical media is dead. It's not dead.
They're trying to kill it. They don't want us to own the films. They try to make up these numbers and say that it's not selling, but when you look at them, they're still selling really well. It's just that you guys are giving us less places to buy them, and you're trying to force people to stream.
Yeah, and I don't like that.
Me neither.
It's like, oh, we're not going to give the studios like, oh, well, we're not going to give you films to own anymore. Oh, that's so old school nowadays. So we're going to make you forced to pay for our streaming service, where, oh, we're going to have the film on there, and then we're going to take it off at some point, and there's nowhere to get a copy of it unless if you go on eBay or Amazon and get a copy of
And that's
yourself.
if it's a movie that came out in theaters. Like, for example, a movie that I love. Well, not even that, because two movies I love, Hush, Barbarian, nowhere to be found. Hush was a Netflix original, Mike Flanagan. They took it off, and now it never got a physical release, and it was a Netflix original. And then Barbarian came on theaters, went on Hulu, and never got a physical release. So it's like, and they might just take that off of Hulu one day. So that kind of sucks.
And that's basically how people pirate.
Yeah,
That's how people burn, a film onto a DVD-R and they sell it.
yeah.
And you wonder why. And you wonder why people do that.
It's so funny that you brought it up, because one of the films that's been burned the most of all time is the next film we're going to be talking about, and that is Spider-Man No Way Home. Talk to me about the impact, the importance of this film on your life.
Yeah, this film, when it came out 3 years ago, I was just so uh, I was just so into it. I was looking forward to it. The hype that this film received, I
It's
was so
crazy.
excited because we were going to get all three Spider-Man guys in the film. We would get Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and this film to me felt like like childhood, like my teenage years with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and getting into Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man films, which are also part of my like my like my you would say like adult years.
Yeah,
Uh, but this film, just having all the villains come back, like Electro, Jamie Foxx, uh, Alfred Molina's Doc Ock. You also have Sandman, Thomas Hayden Church coming back. It just felt like a throwback, kind of movie,
Yeah.
which was cool. And the impact that it had on me was seeing Tobey Maguire there after all these years, and him looking much older than
Yeah.
how he looked back in 2002. And Andrew Garfield coming back, after seeing him lastly in the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
And that's two other films I saw in the theater as well. Amazing Spider-Man I saw at the midnight screening back when it came out, which was cool.
Nice.
I did a little video of that on my channel from back in the day. Saw it with my cousins.
I miss midnight screenings. Good times.
Yeah, very good times. Dark Knight Rises, that shooting kind of killed midnight screenings. And
Yeah.
I liked how I like now that we got Thursday early showings, early now, like 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
It,
Like
it better
3, 4
suits it.
o'clock.
It better suits it because if people got to go to work the next day, it'll be easy for them. Like at 12, like let's say if it's a 2-hour film and it ends like at 2 o'clock, 2:30, then you got to wake up, you know,
You gotta get
three
home
or
first.
3 or 4 hours, and then go
Yeah.
to work.
I remember when I went to go watch Infinity War midnight release, which was one of the best experience I've ever had in theater. I- The train was so delayed and packed. I didn't get home. The film, no, Infinity War is like what 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 40 minutes
Mm.
plus 30 minutes of trailers. So that's 3 hours in the theater. So that's 3 o'clock, and then I didn't get home till like 4:30. So
Wow.
yeah,
Good old,
exactly.
that's the good old NTA for you if you guys are watching
Good
that
old
live out in New
MTA.
York.
So we've talked about your love for Spider-Man, right? We had Tobey Maguire Spider-Man as one of the most influential films. He comes back here. We have the Green Goblin, who is basically kind of the main villain in the
Mm.
film. And obviously Spider-Man 2's villain is here, and they're pretty involved in it. What did this do for your imagination? Because I noticed that a lot of these films do things for your imagination and how you tap into those things. What does this do for that?
Just by the way of having all three Spider-Man guys go at it, and
Yeah,
fighting off the villains that they fought in their films.
yeah,
Like you had Tobey Maguire fighting off Green Goblin and Doc Ock and Sandman. Whereas you have the Lizard, who Andrew Garfield ended up fighting Amazing Spider-Man, and Electro being there. They all it was all like kind of like a throwback memory machine,
yeah.
all in just bought into one film.
All the nostalgia
All
berries just
nostalgia coming in.
going
That
off.
and that's another influence. All the nostalgia coming back to me and coming back to all the fans.
And that's part of your life. Like you love the nostalgic feel of things. You talk about these things on your channel a lot. So this is like the ultimate movie for that.
Mhm.
Let me end the poll. It looks like 60% of the people gave No Way Home an A. The other 20% gave it a what? Hold on. 20% gave it a B. 20% gave it a C. So some people who are not super high on it, but most people in the chat are. Let's see what they're
That was one of
saying.
and also was one of the many one of my other favorite theater experiences because I
Of
got to
course.
see it with my with some of my friends from work.
Oh, the theater
So
went
we just
crazy when Toby walked through that portal. Holy crap.
we all clapped. Like when Andrew
Yeah.
Garfield first came through the portal, everybody was clapping. Like I was
Yeah.
clapping, and then when Tobey Maguire came through the portal, we were just all in excitement. We were all geeking out. We were
And
like,
also the
yeah,
marketing for the film made it feel like they might not be in the movie. Like it was
yeah,
always that leading up, it was like, are they in the movie? So like when they finally and then the movie took so long to get to them, it was like, oh, they are, yes. Like they built up to it well.
yeah. It was a good build too.
The net is gonna put Scott Pilgrim on the list of movies for her to watch, which is awesome. Yes, plus Tim Burton was more focused on the Batman movie because he was doing nothing. He was doing nothing movies at the same time.
Well, yeah, Beetlejuice, yeah, Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah, some stuff. Both movies at the same time. That's what he meant. Okay. Going back for V for Vendetta, I always cry when Natalie Portman shaves her head. No, not a no. Yeah, that's a powerful scene.
Yeah, Well, and that scene was filmed really well.
Yeah. Yep. That's why I own
It's a
Mando
good
season
looking
two.
movie too, as well.
Oh yeah.
It's a British film, but I like the many shots there in Britain.
Yeah. It looks good. I love the gothic looking feel of Britain in that film. After the first Spider-Man movie, I stopped, but like when all the Spider-Man came together. But like when all the Spider-Mans. Okay. After the first Spider-Man movie, he stopped watching, but he liked when all the Spider-Mans came together. This movie was awesome. The plot might feel outdated, but it delivers every time. I put a B for No Way Home. Deadpool Wolverine really reminds me of Spider-Man No Way Home. Great character moments, but weaker story as a result. Great scenes, but sacrificing narrative to get there.
I thought the story of Deadpool and Wolverine was good.
Yeah, I'm on record.
I
I think that No Way Home story is stronger because of the third act. I think Deadpool Wolverine story. Me personally think it's a bunch of gobbledygook. Unfortunately, I like you said, I think the character moments are there. I think that car scene between Deadpool and Logan is amazing. That conversation and turning into a fight. But I think the actual plot of these movies are weaker than the moments that we get.
I tend to disagree.
That's totally fair.
Eh,
That's totally fair. A for amazing. The power of the sun in the palm of my hands. Doc Ock. The Green Goblin almost made Tom go dark. I love the line "No Way Home" about Toby dressing like an edgy youth pastor. That was pretty funny.
yeah.
So you said you disagreed on the plot of Deadpool, Wolverine, things like that. What made you feel like that movie had a great story?
Just how uh, Deadpool has to go in and find Wolverine in order for him to stop his world, his Earth from dying because of how close he is with the people that are on his Earth,
Hmm.
and just him going out and finding Wolverine to get him to help, because Ryan Reynolds has been trying to do a Wolverine film, like a Deadpool Wolverine film for years. And so he
Hmm.
was finally able to do it. And, I like the way how, they end up meeting at first. They have a love hate relationship,
Yeah.
as we see in the film. But it all comes together with them working together and trying to help save, Deadpool's, Earth and the people that he cares about. So
Oh,
that's
glad
how
that
the
you
way
love
I
it,
see
man.
it.
Love that you love it. And talk about people coming together to stop a world from ending. Next film, a film that a lot of people don't talk about, a film that I almost forgot, but I actually love. Pacific Rim. Talk to me about one of the most influential films of the 2010s.
Pacific Rim, I gotta say, this was a film that should not have flopped at the box office. It shouldn't have bombed. This is a very good looking film from its CGI. Story wise is interesting. It's not great or perfect by any means, but it's just you know a huge Jaeger fighting these these creatures. It's almost like if you had Godzilla. It's almost like if you took like a Godzilla plot. Now, see you later in the net. It's almost like if you took a Godzilla plot and put in giant robots in it.
Yeah,
And I thought it was pretty well directed by Guillermo del Toro. I haven't seen a
nice.
lot of I haven't seen a lot of Guillermo del Toro films except for Hellboy with Ron Perlman.
His two most popular films, Pacific Rim
Hmm.
and Hellboy. So
Yeah.
what about this specific kaiju busting film did you it was influential for you?
Uh, of course, seeing it on the big screen,
Yeah,
which was great because the film looked great on the big screen, and also uh, how the style of the film looked.
gotcha.
Very like very like kind of like neon-ish because I like films that have neon colors in it, almost like
Mm,
a stylistic, futuristic world.
gotcha.
And I thought the robot fighting against the creatures was pretty cool.
Nice.
Different take than like having like Godzilla, for a film.
And you talk about that. So the fact that I want to bring up and a question I want to ask you, Pacific Rim, the first one, right? It didn't bomb at the box office. It actually did really good. It's the second one that bombed, unfortunately.
Mm.
Um,
I think it.
it
I think it was. I think it bombed here in the U.S., but overseas
yeah, it made way
it
more
made its
money.
money back.
Yeah, it made its money back.
Mhm.
It changed the way the industries made kaiju films, right? Like we got smaller, more intimate kaiju films before this. This one was big, bombastic, and like world expanding. And after that, I think that the MonsterVerse embraced that style, and now kaiju it affected kaiju stories that we see on TV and in film. Do you think it's been a good change or a bad change?
I think it's been a good change
Yeah,
and being very different.
you like the
You-
more big, bombastic, bigger than life size kaiju's than the smaller ones we were getting.
Yeah, because that's what has to get your people's attention, your audience's attention.
Nice. He said, I have not seen Rim.
And Pacific
Rim
Rim, the second one was okay though, but it's not as good
yeah,
as the first.
Rim was meh. Okay, so we got some non-Pacific Rim fans here.
There are some people
Love,
that there are some
yeah,
people that think the film is like mid in my, you know, but it's cool.
I think it's great. I love the idea of Pacific Rim, but wish they would have did two more runs at the script. CGI was meh, but Gilmore makes the film fun at least. Really, I think the CGI is actually really, really good. That's
And
interesting.
just seeing the robots fighting on the big screen was just amazing.
Yeah,
Like it blew me away.
yeah, me too.
I
Especially on the
remember
big
seeing
screen.
and I remember seeing it was the only screening at the theater that I was going to at the time. And
Wow.
it was like 11 a.m. screening. So me and my friends had to be up extra early to see it.
Wow. That's super early. The only time I've ever seen a movie that early, I think I went to see Birds of Prey movie that early because I wanted to see it early and then review it. But other than that, yeah, I usually go at night. It's 11 a.m. It's pretty early to see a movie. Let's see. He said, can't compare it to Transformers when it comes to robots fighting. I feel like with Transformers is a little bit more muddier in the way it looks and blockier, but Pacific Rim, it just felt tangible in a way and a little bit more realistic.
I
The
enjoyed
first
all the
Pacific one's
I
great.
enjoyed the Transformers films, except for the last night. That was absolutely awful.
I like the first three Transformers, Michael Bay Transformers films. I stopped after that. Once Marky Mark came in, I was like, I'm done. And then
Age of
I really
Extinction
liked
was okay
it. Okay,
to
I
me.
might give it a go.
It's
I haven't got to
long,
see Bumblebee.
it's long, but it's okay. Last night
I
you could pass on that film.
just pass it on. Don't watch it all.
That film is fucking awful. Bumblebee, definitely watch. It's
Yeah,
great. It's a good movie.
but I like the Rise of the Beast film. I'm glad that
I
they're
like Rise of the
starting
Beast as
again.
well.
Yeah, it was a good time. He said Pacific Rim was the same CGI generation as Real Steel. Eek. Uncanny Valley from beginning to end, but
I
casting
enjoy
was
Real
good in
Steel
it.
as well.
I like Real Steel.
That film should have got a sequel as well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Sean Levy did talk about they're like working on it, but we'll see.
Yeah, look
We'll
how
see.
many years. It
Yeah,
came out 2011. Look, we're like 10, 11, 13 years later. Still no
and we
sequel.
still haven't got it, but we'll see.
I
You
guess because
never
the
know.
film I guess because the film bombed.
Yeah, did it bomb? Or I thought it just did okay. Maybe I don't know. The next film, though, definitely did bomb. That's Kingman's Secret Service. Another comic book film, independent from everything else, a little different. Talk about the impact of Kingman's Secret Service on you.
This film I loved from beginning to end.
Okay.
This film had amazing fight scenes, especially the scene in the church.
Mhm.
Having Samuel Jackson as the villain, absolutely awesome. Uh, The film is, of course, a British. It's a British film. It takes place in Britain, and with Matthew Vaughn uh, directing the film, you already could tell how the film, was going to go because of the style that he brought to in Kick Ass.
Yeah.
You gotta know Matthew Vaughn's certain direction that he wants to take the film in. Uh, Taron Egerton as Eggsy, he was a very interesting character. I liked how they brought him in to become a Kingsman by Colin Firth. Colin Firth is the head of the Kingsman, which is a spy organization, which is secretive, and it has its blend of action and comedy, which the comedy was really good in the film as well. Uh, Also, the scene where Aaron where Aaron Egerton as or Taron Egerton as Eggsy was kicking ass in Samuel Jackson's place. It was pretty cool with the fireworks scene. You just heard the
Yeah.
da, 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 da. And then just him, ducking through like the weapons was pretty cool. The female with the with I guess it was the I can't really know what it was, but it was the sharp thing that she had for a foot. That was pretty cool. Just this whole movie from beginning to end was awesome, and it kept me on the edge of my seat. Highly entertaining film. The sequel, not as good as the first. Had a weak villain
Mm.
in the second film. But the Kingsman I thought was okay at first when I saw it in the theater. But now when I think about it, I'm like, all right, it's very forgotten about. It's very forgotten about. Forgettable
It's
story.
forgettable.
Yeah. And in the second film, I thought Julianne Moore as the villain was very weak compared
Hmm.
to Samuel Jackson's character in this film.
Gotcha. So, as this the final film of your adult age, the movies that influenced you, movies that made you, what about this film that you feel like you can put it on this pinnacle here? Is it the action? Is it the story? Is it something that it made you go check out more Matthew Vaughn films or seek out more films like this?
It is the action, and
Okay.
it's also Matthew Vaughn's style.
Yeah.
After seeing Kick Ass, which I really enjoy and love,
Yeah. Me too.
and when he was directing this film, I'm like, all right, I loved Kick Ass. I'm gonna go check out this film, and it definitely felt you know a little bit like Kick Ass with its action, and it was just awesome from beginning to end. It was the same thing how I felt about Kick Ass. Awesome film throughout. Awesome film. Throughout. Me enjoying it.
Nice. All right. So we've gone through from your childhood all the way to your adulthood, 18 films that have influenced you the most. Just to end off the last poll, I put up a poll saying what movies that of your adult films they love. Avengers won in an overwhelming fashion with 75% of the votes, with Scott Pilgrim coming in second, which is not shocking either. Those two beloved films. Let's see what they have to say. Got a few fan questions to ask you, and then we'll do the Q&A and then wrap everything up.
Okay,
Okay. Rise of Beasts was a blast. Yes, it
definitely
was.
was.
Real Still is fun as hell.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I got to get that film a rewatch someday.
Me too. Bumblebee was actually good. The one from last summer was awful. He didn't like Rise of the Beast.
I
Only did
disagree. I
I
disagree.
disagree as well. Awful is crazy. If you say it's just okay, oh, that's fine. I thought it was great though. Only good part was killing off Bumblebee for 5 minutes. Jesus.
Well, go watch the last night. They turn Optimus Prime evil, and he's not in the film a whole lot until
Well,
almost
damn.
towards the end of the film.
He did not like Rise of the Beast. He says he doesn't think that Real Still needs a sequel. That's interesting. Okay.
To me, I think it
Um,
does.
love the first film. Sequels get progressively worse, sadly. Love Matthew Vaughn. Wish he would have done Kick Ass 2.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
like
do.
Kick Ass
I
2,
like Kick-Ass
but
too. It's not as good as the first though, but
yeah, it's not good as
Jim
first.
Carrey. Jim Carrey makes that film.
Yeah, he did great in that movie. Samuel Jackson being a villain made it for me. I need to watch these. I haven't seen Kingsman yet.
Really?
Nope.
Definitely watch it.
Zach and Michael, I just watched a pretty good film. Finished it today. Risky Business with Tom Cruise. He's super young in it. He's got to be like his early teens,
Classic
18,
film.
19.
Just take those old records off the shelf.
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen Risky Business yet.
Ah.
Stop being surprised when I haven't seen a film. I haven't seen a lot of Tom Cruise films. I've probably seen his first Reacher. I saw Edge of Tomorrow. I've seen all the Mission Impossible. Saw Top Gun Maverick.
War of the Worlds.
Nope.
All right.
And that's probably about it. I haven't seen a bunch of his other stuff.
Days of Thunder.
Nope.
Definitely watch Days of Thunder.
Okay.
Really enjoyed that film. I reviewed it on my channel.
I'm gonna try to watch a bunch of more of his films, especially when he was younger.
Oh, another film that he was younger in, All the Right Moves.
Okay.
Craig T. Nelson was in that film as well.
Gotta check that out. So what I like to do, don't show all the questions, is ask 21 movie fan questions. Guys, let me know if you can see it. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Why is it so red? Okay.
It's bloody red.
It's bloody red. Okay. Number 21 is, what is the first movie you watched?
The first movie I watched, I remember as 2 or 3 years old, was that Sesame Street film, Follow That Bird.
Nice.
That's a classic. That was one of the
Um,
first movies I ever watched, and I remember my mother recording it off of TV, and I remember watching that a whole lot as a kid.
Gotcha. Which movie genre do you like the most?
Do I dislike the most?
Dislike the most, sorry.
Westerns.
Westerns. Not a big fan?
Not a big fan of Westerns.
How did your passion for film start?
My passion for film started when I watched, I forgot the film though, but it was like a sci-fi film, and I was just so enthralled about the visual effects, CGI, and how real it looked. And I think
Nice.
that's where my passion for films ended up starting. And I want to become a filmmaker. That's my career goal, is to become a filmmaker and get into the film and television business. But it's a hard business to get into, but there are ways
Yeah.
that you could get into the business without having to know people, because a lot of people said, oh, in order for you to get into this business, you have to know people in it. But there are ways that you could go around that.
Nice.
So that
And everybody in the chat, you can answer these questions as well. Love to hear your answers as well. Let's try to do this a little bit more rapid fire. What is the most visually stunning movie you've ever seen?
visually most stunning movie ever seen. I got a lot of them. If I had to choose one, it would be Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Star Wars
Which one?
by the original, the first film.
Original. New Hope.
Because New Hope, because of its style to it, and how during that opening scene where the ship ends up flying. So, and then just basically how visually, the film is from beginning to end.
Nice. What is a movie that not many have heard about, but that you've already seen?
Movie that not many have heard about. I got to go with a film called City of Amber.
Okay.
It's Bill Murray's in it. It's a kids film. It was released in 2008. I think it was based on a book. But it's a good movie. Definitely worth checking out. Very underrated.
What is a movie quote you live by?
From Back to the Future. If you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
Nice.
And that always sticks with me because it is true. If you put your mind to it and the stuff that you want to do, like your career, you could accomplish that. You could accomplish that goal. Like also, like if going for like job interviews, like if you go for like a new job and what you want to say, you could put your mind to it, and then if it comes out right, you could accomplish that goal and want to work at that job you always wanted.
Yeah. What's your top five favorite actors?
Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey has always had an influence on me as a kid. Robin Williams, um, may he rest in peace. Uh, what else? Uh, Tom Cruise,
Okay.
and that's three. Uh, who else? So Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, Tom Cruise, uh, Sylvester Stallone,
Okay.
and
That's four. Yeah.
also what else? Oh man, I can't even think of the last one.
It doesn't have to be actors is male and women, male and female. So it doesn't only have to be men.
Hmm. And then I have to say is I'd say Reese Witherspoon.
Ooh, nice. What do you think of book to movie adaptations?
I think some of them, are good. Like take for instance what we talked about earlier, Holes. I thought that the film was better than the book, in my
Mm,
opinion.
yeah.
I think that film is the best movie to book or book to movie adaptation. I thought they handled source material well. But other book to movie adaptations like Percy Jackson and the Olympians, I do actually like that film. I know a lot of people don't because of how the way they changed, everything from the book. But if you have a
Mm,
story, if you have a story like let's say Holes and Harry Potter, and it has a good story and it's done really well, you'll get your audience to you get your audience invested into seeing the films. So I think that's what some filmmakers and some screenwriters need to take note of. Just understand the source material, put it into a good uh, screenwriting or screenplay, and see if it's okay. See if it's good. If it's good, then make the movie. And also,
yeah.
you need to listen to your fan base.
What have you learned from foreign films?
I don't watch too many foreign films, but
Okay.
I remember seeing one uh, when I was in high school in a filmmaking class that I did,
Yeah.
and so that was the only one that I watched. I can't remember like what I've learned from that film because it's been years. I have yet to rewatch that film.
I
I
think
think it was
it's
called.
an inspiring filmmaker. You definitely should invest into some foreign films, man. There's a lot of techniques that you might find in there that a lot of American filmmakers don't do.
Or they miss out on.
Yeah. How long should a movie be?
Best bet, maybe about an hour and 50
Okay.
or like an hour and 45. 2 hours the max, but don't go over 2 hours and 2 hours and 30 minutes or 2 hours and 50 because you really have to come up with some ideas and some, more, screenwrite like screenwriting techniques in order for your film to have the people interested. Because if it's that long of a film, people are just gonna be like, "Oh, when is this film going to end?"
Yeah.
That's how the way I felt about Eternals. I know,
Mm,
I know you like Eternals, but when I saw the film, I thought it was okay. And as time went on, I'm like, all right, this is just it's a very mid film.
that's fair. I can agree that it's probably a little too long. I like it, but I'm not. It's not. It's not perfect, as a lot of people love to say. It can be criticized. What film do you think should have not won Oscar for Best Picture?
Titanic. I know I'm going to piss a lot of people off. uh, what else?
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
that's the only thing I could think of.
What movies would you recommend to a stranger to get to know you? Give them like three.
Back to the Future,
Mhm.
uh, Space Jam,
Okay.
and Spider-Man.
Nice. Three films on this list, and in different eras of your life. I love it.
Hmm.
What films are you looking forward to watch? Give me like two films that you're looking forward to watch.
To watching upcoming films.
I like it if you said
Yeah, I know his wife as well. We're both good friends.
that.
Uh, so upcoming films. I'm gonna go to see Wikipedia here because I have some films that are coming out that I'm looking forward to. One of them is definitely not Borderlands, which already came out. uh, let's see here. September, of course, Beetlejuice.
Nice.
Looking forward to. I think that that film is going to potentially be good. Hopefully, I'm praying. Uh, also, I want to check out Alien Romulus because I
Nice.
heard pretty good things about that. And also the Wild Robot, which
Ooh, I'm
uh,
looking forward to that.
which looks like it could be a very very great animated DreamWorks film.
Yeah, looks like you can be a new Iron Giant.
Hmm.
How do you
I
feel
hope,
the internet?
and
Hmm?
before we get to the next question, I hope that that film doesn't bomb like
I hope
Iron
so
Giant
too.
did back in the day.
I hope so too. It's not a lot of hype for it, but I hope it doesn't bomb. How did the internet change the film industry? Give me like one way you feel like the internet changed the film industry.
A lot of spoilers coming out of certain films, especially the MCU films. Like every time like an MCU film comes out, I always got to see it open and nice, so I'm not spoiled when I go
Yep.
on social media.
You
Because
can't see it on your own time. You gotta rush.
yeah, you got to rush, especially with a big film. You got to rush because you got these sites online that tend to spoil things, and if you haven't seen the film and accidentally come up on it, you're gonna be like, oh, now they got spoiled. Now I got spoiled because of that.
Heck, sometimes the company spoils it. Marvel spoiled Wesley Snipes and Chris Evans for me.
I did not see that. I was lucky enough to not see those spoilers.
They put up the clips of them on the Comic-Con stage on Instagram. I was just
I
like,
didn't
bro,
see it.
the movie just came out. What are y'all doing? One positive way I would say the internet has affected the film industry, stuff like Letterbox or like the film communities that you could find on like a Discord or Reddit or even on Instagram itself. It's nice that you can meet people who like the niche films you like. Because back in the day, I used to watch these weird films and then had no one to talk to about it. Now I have this opportunity to kind of like talk to people about film. Like I saw the TV Glow. Like that's not a
I still
film.
have yet to see that.
Yeah, that's not a film I would be able to talk to people about and why I like it or dislike it and stuff like that. So I like
Coming from our buddy Luke, he says it's he said it's a weird kind of film.
it is. It's very very weird.
And
Very,
then if you
very,
tell somebody about that, they'll be like, what are you talking about?
yeah, especially if they're not into weird films or not into like the film called the indie film culture. They're gonna be like, what? I don't even know how to explain the film. That's another thing. Like so, like if you don't already know what it's about, it's hard for me to explain it. What do you think about animated films? Are they just for kids?
Well, you skipped the question. What do you like
Oh,
to eat
sorry. Yeah,
or
I
drink
said,
while watching
what
a
do you like
film?
to eat or drink while watching a film?
When I go to the theater, I always have my Alamo Draft House. I always have like a cheese pizza, chocolate shake. Way to go. If it's a regular theater, outside of Alamo, I have nachos and a wild cherry icy.
Nice. Okay. What about animated films? Are they just for kids?
No, I think they're for everybody. I mean, take for instance like Cars. I'm not a huge fan of Cars. I think Cars it like when you see like the film, it feels kind of babyish. It's like it's more
Mm,
for like it's more for like people like for like kids that are like 1, 2 years old.
yeah,
So like when you get older, like let's say you're like 8 or 9, like in that sort of age, you're like, oh, this is not for me. I think that
gotcha.
animated films are for everybody. They're not just for kids, unless if it has a good story to it. And that could keep uh, adults' interest
Yeah.
and
What
not just
genre
for
of
kids'
movies do you
interest.
like? We talked about the genres you dislike. What genres do you like?
Comedy, sci-fi, fantasy, family films, a little bit of drama.
Right.
Horror, not huge on, but I do respect the genre.
What are your top three favorite movie scenes?
In A Christmas Story, where Ralphie finally gets his Red Ryder BB gun for Christmas.
Christmas Story classic.
That's my favorite. That's my all-time favorite Christmas film.
Same.
Huge fan of it. Uh, Also, Marty McFly going back to 1985 in
Hmm.
in Back to the Future Part One. Just the scene of just the music, the score of it, and him going back in time was just great. And also, uh, also in the Avengers, where also another one, my last one, the Avengers, where they all team up, where they have that scene where they're all together,
The spinning shot.
the spinning shot,
Yeah.
perfectly done.
And then what's a movie you wish you never watched?
Oh, Madam Web. Yeah, freaking them dancing in a diner to Britney Spears is toxic.
That
Yeah.
was telling you
Only thing that film is good for is the villain in his costume.
in 10 years, people will learn to appreciate that movie. I'm telling you. It's gonna be a
No.
cult classic. It's so bad, it's a good film. I'm telling you right now.
Well, I kind of see why, because Spider-Man 3 is the same. Like when Spider-Man 3 came out, a lot of people didn't like it, and now years later, a lot of people are like, yeah, we like the film aside from its problems.
Yeah.
Like they respect in Spider-Man 3 now.
I feel like Spider-Man 3 is a better made film than Madam Web, though. But I don't think Spider-Man 3 is a so bad it's good film. I just think it's
No.
a good film with problems.
Yes.
I think Madam Web is bad film, but it's so bad in such a funny way, it's good. There's so many moments that Madam Web is one of the best experiences I've had in the theater this year. It was so funny.
Were there people in the theater making fun of it?
Oh my god, we were laughing at all the wrong parts. We were laughing about the fact that the girl took a taxi and was driving around the whole movie, even though it was um, stolen. She
Yeah,
she
exactly.
she went to like a Spanish country in a day and came back in the same clothes. It was, it
I'm
was
like, when she did that, I'm like, what the hell?
what's going on? It's a campy, stupid movie,
And
and
then the pacing of the film is too long.
it's weird. And then the ADR on the villain is awful. His lips is moving, but what he's saying is not the same as his lips move. It's what a beautiful
He was the
disaster
only
that is.
he was the villain was the only thing I tolerated about the film.
What qualities do you look in a great movie?
It's main story focus. It's its plot line. It's characters that are being developed really good. Oh yeah, I'll check out. I'm gonna check out Barbie. I still haven't watched Barbie yet.
Love that film.
Uh, Also, the CGI in the film has to be really good, and it has to hold, yeah, storytelling as well, and it has to hold my attention. It has to hold audience's attention.
Gotcha. What's your number one is we've answered this question, but what's your
Yes,
favorite movie?
Back to the Future,
Back to the Future.
which I
Oh,
wish I would have at that age when it was in Universal Studios. If we did a vacation down there, wish I would have went on the ride, but sadly it closed down years ago.
gotcha. All right, let's get into these. We're gonna do a Q&A. It's gonna be for 10 minutes or for however long you guys got questions for me. I do have starred questions here that people asked throughout that didn't relate to what we were talking about, but you can ask me and specifically Michael anything you like. You can ask him about the films that he brought up. You can ask him about anything else outside of that as well. And if it's inappropriate, obviously he does not have to answer. So try not to ask anything inappropriate. So the first starred
I'll
question
just give him a
was,
sarcastic answer.
oh, there you go. What is Michael's take on the current state of the MCU?
It's okay. It's not as good as it was, you know, back in the day. I think the MCU kind of took a dip in quality ever since Stan Lee passed away. Because ever
Mm,
since Stan Lee passed away, these films they they add too much comedy in it. Like I feel like the comedy at points are just like forced into it, or forced into these films when they're not supposed to be. Like, all right, you'll have your humor here and there, but at least set us up to where the humor is going to be. But now they're just throwing in comedy because they feel like that they have to, like they have to force it down our throats.
yeah. Got to be a balance. I think that there's certain films that has to have a lot of comedy and certain films that don't.
Mhm.
But I do think Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Ragnarok has affected a lot of things where people have a lot of comedy in films.
And I enjoy them. I enjoy the Guardians of the Galaxy films and Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, well, that's
Yes,
why you
and
have a lot of comedy in films.
I'm a person that likes Thor: Love and Thunder.
I don't mind Thor: Love and Thunder. It's not as good as it should have been, but it's not a complete absolute disaster. But Michael, are you looking forward to the Beetlejuice? Beetlejuice.
Yes, hopefully, hopefully it will be good, and hopefully, the story will be at least somewhat interesting. And it's got Michael Keaton back as Beetlejuice, so
Mhm.
that's a plus. And Tim Burton coming back to direct, that's another plus. I just hope that the CGI is done okay, and it's not just
Gotcha.
cheap looking bad CGI.
Yeah, it looks like they're going for more of a look of the old film. Are you a fan of the old film, the original
Yes,
Beetlejuice?
of
Yeah.
course.
I'll say of course. It's people that don't like that movie.
Really,
Yeah, of course. And did you grow up with the Beetlejuice the original, or were you introduced to it later?
I was introduced to it later. I remember watching it on. They had it on TV on Sci-Fi Channel. I remember.
Nice.
That's how I basically watched it.
Did you grow up on Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh?
Pokemon. Pokemon. I was in that craze. I was in that huge craze of Pokemon fans back when it was popular. I had all like the Pokemon stuff. Like I had the Game Boy Color games, the Pokemon. One of them I really liked was Pokemon Pinball that I had.
Mhm.
I had Pokemon, I think Blue, Pokemon, I think Red. I think I had that or Pokemon Yellow. I also had the Pokeballs with the gold in it from Burger King.
Oh, I still have mines.
Mhm.
Love that.
I had the first movie on VHS. I had Pokemon the movie 2000. And like 3 episodes of the cartoon on VHS. I had everything Pokemon back in the day. I don't know if you remember the watches that they had where it had Ash in the center and it would tell you the time if you clicked it.
Yeah.
I had that. And and one other person that I knew in my elementary school had it, and he wouldn't like stop pressing it, and the teacher was like, "Oh, take that watch off now."
Nice.
So, but I had one. I had the Bulbasaur one.
Oh, pause. Well, do you still do physical media trips?
Yes, I do. There is an upcoming video on my channel where I went to Koch Comics out here. Uh, it's in Brooklyn, so I did a video of that. That should be coming up soon. And I'll spoil it for you guys. A lot of VHSs in there, which is good. I found more VHSs in there than DVDs.
That's funny. What has been your favorite movie of the year so far?
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Nice.
and also Monkey Man.
You only have one
I
favorite of
have
the
one.
year.
All right, Deadpool and Wolverine. I was gonna cheat.
That's the favorite.
I was gonna
Can't
cheat.
cheat.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
I love Monkey Man too. That's my third favorite movie of the year, so I understand. Michael, question: what do you think of Robert Downey Jr. coming back to play Doctor Doom, and do you think it's going to be a variant? Well, they already answered that it's not a variant Tony Stark; it's Victor Von Doom. But answer the rest of the question in terms of like, what do you think of him coming back?
I think that's good. You know, it's a little different from Robert Downey Jr. because we all know him as Tony Stark, Iron Man, and I think that's going to be pretty interesting to see Robert Downey Jr. play a villain in the MCU.
Mm,
Like I think,
yeah.
like I was thinking, like oh, they brought back Tony Stark and they just erased his memory, and then
Yeah.
he's pretty much basically Doctor Doom. That's my take of where they were going to go with him. But like I said, it's not going to be a variant of Tony Stark.
Yeah. Thankfully, I would hate that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where was the last question? Hold up, wait a minute. What's your favorite movie? Robert Downey Jr. Hey, can I ask Michael a question? Have you ever watched Game of Thrones or House of Dragons?
No,
No,
not my cup of tea.
not your cup of tea. Michael,
I'd
do
rather
you have a letterbox?
I don't have a letterbox.
You do not? That's surprising. Okay. Hey, Michael, do you do a physical media? Oh, you already answered that. And Michael, okay, you already answered that. Here's a choice of casting for DCU Batman, Justin Theroux. Do you think that's a good choice?
I never heard of him.
Never heard of him. All right, and let's see if there's a few questions in here. The ending of Barbie was stupid. I like the ending of Barbie. Never been to Universal. Oh, okay. Have you been to Universal Studios or
No,
Land or whatever?
only been to Disney World, and that was back in January.
Nice. How was that?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I want to go back. I went with my
Nice.
sister and her boyfriend and her boyfriend's family.
I've never been to it either. I want to go.
It's a fun time.
Michael, what do you not like about the Lord of the Rings trilogy? I can understand Star Wars, but Lord of the Rings.
I don't know, just the way how they're too long of films. Like they don't
Hmm.
even like that. Like you have to interest me in in Lord of the Rings, but I don't know, they're just not my cup of tea.
I feel you. Yeah, because you just talked about you feel like the length of a movie should be like hour and 40 minutes, hour and 50 minutes. And these movies are like 3 hours a piece and more. And the
Yeah.
last one's 4.5.
And
So
the Batman was almost 3 hours, but that kept me entertained throughout the film.
yeah. And it's more your film. You like more
That's more of
comic
my
booky.
film, yeah.
Yeah, you're not into fantasy. Little Nicky said you
A
couldn't
little
get
bit of fantasy.
into a little bit. Lord of the Rings couldn't get into it. He said, who's your favorite character from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Rocket Raccoon.
That's a lot of people's favorite character. Did you ever watch Buzz Lightyear Star Command?
Nope, I know of it, but you don't have Tim Allen voicing Buzz Lightyear in the cartoon, so it's just going to feel very generic.
It's a good show though. VHS for me, both. Not sure what you meant by that. Are you looking forward to First Steps?
Never even heard of First Steps.
Fantastic Four.
Oh, Fantastic Four, yeah. I'm looking forward
Okay.
to it if it's done right.
Yeah.
To me, I'm keeping my expectations low because after Fantastic, or as I would call it, Shitastic 4, 2015, I have low expectations on this being good.
Well, yeah, think about it though. Like Fantastic was not by the same people. Like that's Josh Trank. He's just and then I don't even want to blame Josh Trank because it seems like he made a movie
It was
and then
more
they chopped it up.
it was more studio interference from Fox.
Yeah. So
Fox kind of fucked it up.
yeah. What's your favorite Disney film?
Pixar, Toy Story, but favorite animated Disney film, it would have to be. I have a lot of them. I have
Just
to go.
one.
I have to go with go with 101 Dalmatians.
Ooh, that's a good one. Good cut. What are your five favorite TV shows?
I Love Lucy, Honeymooners,
Ooh,
Heroes, Walking Dead, and also uh, Grimm.
nice. Good selection. We have a good selection of like happier stuff versus like darker, more violent stuff. Do you collect Lego?
No.
Justin Thoreau was the voice of Dropkick from Bumblebee, who transformed into the blue car.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
nice.
I almost
Do
forgot.
you
I
know?
forgot about him.
Do you know the books are much longer than the movies, and they actually made the movies as short as they could if they would have put everything from the book into the movie?
I didn't even know
Oh,
that.
yeah. Oh, the books are thick. They're like huge. But the same thing with like Harry Potter and all those things. The books are much longer. You said it would have been 5 hours plus. Yeah, I was not sitting there for 5 hours to watch that.
The new
Oh,
Justice League, Zack Snyder cut. I heard that's like 4 hours long.
4 hours. And I've watched it 3 times.
I wouldn't sit through it.
I hear you. Okay, the last question of the night, because the 10 minutes have passed. Did anyone watch Recess or The House of Mouse?
I watched Recess.
Love Recess.
ABC Saturday mornings on Disney One Saturday morning.
Oh, yeah. Saturday morning cartoons was everything.
They need to make a comeback for kids nowadays. But sadly,
Yeah,
that's
it's
not
gonna
going
be
to
hard.
happen.
Yeah, kids ain't trying to do that. This is his favorite shows. He loved Honeymooners. JJ Crusher coming in at the last second. Say what's up. That is his rest of his. And then let's wrap this up with you talking about your channel, where they can find you, and what you have coming up. Let me make you big. Hold on. There you go. Talk to
All
them.
right, guys. Well, subscribe to my channel here, Michael101591. I do movie reviews. I do wrestling reviews, WWE, AEW. Also, their premium live events. My Monday Night Raw review will be up tomorrow. I do it every single Monday. AEW Dynamite, I review it every Wednesday. SmackDown every Friday. PLEs for WWE and AEW, when they come about, either on Saturday or Sunday. Also do DVD, Blu-ray, 4K updates. Also upload old school commercial breaks on my channel for any of you who are nostalgic for, anything in the 90s, early 2000s. Check it out. Subscribe to my channel. I go live every once in a while. Do like some watch alongs, do predictions, wrestling predictions. So uh, check it out. Subscribe to my channel.
Get you out of Solo. So I just put the link to his channel in the description below, so easier for you guys to go to sub to him now. I want to thank you again, Michael, for coming on, expressing your journey in film. I see that you really love films with imaginative stories, but you do dabble in films that have other serious topics as well. You like to have fun. You like characters that you can relate to, and your cinema experience is growing. There's seem like a lot of aspects of cinema that you haven't touched yet. So I'm excited to see you kind of get into other kinds of movies and keep growing and still loving the films that you already love. So man, this was really, really great. I had a lot of fun. We talked
I had a lot of fun
about
as
a whole
well.
lot of films, whole lot of fun. Everybody was involved in getting to ask you questions and rating your movie takes.
Yeah, this was great. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, man, and it was
I
cool
was
to
look,
see.
and I
We'll
was
say it
looking
again.
forward to doing this. I was looking forward
Yeah,
to doing this with him.
yeah, I've been looking forward to doing this as well. I don't have my schedule with me right now, but I think my next one might be 80s Kids from the 90s, but I'm not 100% sure if he's next up to do it. But be on the lookout for that. Personally, for the channel, my next thing I'm gonna do is I want to do a review of the movie Dee Dee. I saw that on
Good
Friday.
movie. Good movie.
Really good
I loved it.
movie. One of the best coming to age stories that we've had
I
in a
hope
long
that gets.
time.
I hope that gets nominated for some Oscars.
Me too. It was a great film. It deserves it.
And the
I,
throwback to it,
yeah,
like in 2008, you see
2000.
old
Yeah,
school YouTube, how it was back in
YouTube,
the day.
MySpace,
MySpace,
Facebook.
AOL, AIM.
Yeah. AI. That
Yeah,
was interesting. So yeah, I definitely want to talk about that film. Zack Attack News Live, obviously this Tuesday, and there's nothing really coming out this Friday. So I may go see Strange Darling and check that out and review that because I've been hearing really great things about that.
And Dee Dee kind of had an influence on me as well too.
Yeah, I can see that. Can definitely see that. But you probably need to sit on that a little longer because it just came out.
Yeah,
But yeah, guys, this was really, really great. Thank you for. He said, I thought I was in November. You probably are. I don't have my list yet, so I have to go. It's on my phone, so I'll let you know. People didn't cancel yet, but I'll let you go. Everybody here, have a good night. Appreciate everybody
have a good
sticking in the
night,
live
guys.
chat the whole time. Everybody that was Michael's friend that came in, appreciate all you guys checking us out too.
Mr.
You have
Richard
a good night.
Benson and
Yep.
Little Nicky.
Yeah. Appreciate all you guys. Peace
Appreciate you guys.
out.
See you later, guys.